Welcome to the quite possibly the best week of the year. The Elite 11 finals are here. I am national analyst Tom Loy at 24/7 Sports, director of scouting Andrew Ivins, and national analyst Blair Angulo. Guys, I don't know about you guys, but I am fired up to be here on the West Coast in California. This is going to be a great event, loaded with talent, the best arms in the country. Andrew Ivins, how we feeling?
Feeling good, Tom. I think that's unique this year because I think this is a wide open competition, right?
Yes.
It's for the first time in a while, I think, as check-in has started and players have rolled in. I don't think a lot of these finalists know who the guy is to beat. And if you go back over some recent years, I mean, there's clearly been maybe one or two favorites, and it's different this year. So I think it's shaping up to be a real fun 3 days of competition.
Blair, how we feeling, man?
I feel great. I think the big thing about the modern landscape in college football is that all these guys know who they are, right? They all watch the tapes. They've all been at regionals together. Now they get to one place, one location together, and they're able to see how they stack up, right? They get to see who they're going to be competing against at the next level. And that's something that really struck me when we were talking to some of these players as they roll in through check-in is I'm excited to see this guy throw. I want to see how he spins it. I've seen it on tape. Now I want to see it in person. So I think it's a measuring stick as well for a lot of these prospects as they get ready for their senior seasons. And it can be a really momentum boost for a lot of them.
We have check-in today. We got some rail shot challenge tonight, some accuracy competition. We got 7-on-7. We got pro day. It's going to be a great 3 days here in California. But Andrew, we got a loaded team here at 24/7 Sports. We're going to have some recruiting scoops, some evaluations, everything. But what do you take away from your perspective as the guy leading our scouting team? We got Hudson Standish here as well. But what do you take away from this 3 days here in California?
Well, Tom, it's a chance to see all these guys compete side by side. I think that's what is unique about the Elite 11 finals. And certainly not every quarterback in the country is here. But if you look at our rankings, I mean, 10 of the quarterbacks we currently have inside the top 247 are here. And that includes the lone 5-star so far in this class, Elijah Haven, the Alabama commit. Right behind him, the number 2 quarterback, Izzy Abrams, committed to Miami. He's there. The number 3 signal caller, Trey Taylor, he's there as well. Then there's some guys outside of that. So I think it's an opportunity for us to mirror up what we see on tape with what these guys are able to do in this type of setting. And, the evaluation process, I think a lot of people think it's just in a vacuum, right? Just we watch the film and then we kind of move on. And that's far from the case. I mean, Elijah Haven, that's a guy we've been tracking for 2 years now. We still got a senior season with him. So we can learn a lot. Certainly, that rail shot challenge tonight is fun, but also them going through the workout, them taking to coaching, them having to compete. I mean, I always use this example. 2 years ago on the opening night, Keelan Russell, when it was his turn in line, there was a different energy in the air. I think it was the same thing last year with Keyshawn Henderson, who ended up finishing as our number 1 prospect in the class of 2026. And then, we're going to get some 7-on-7 action. So really for us, it's just another data point in that long journey, but you can learn a lot about the class and you can kind of figure out and kind of establish that ceiling and that floor for each one of these signal callers.
On the recruiting side, you're one of our leads on the recruiting side. What do you take away from the couple hours we get talking to these guys during the introductions, check-in, and then also over the next couple of days, because we pretty much have all access. We get to spend time with them. It's away from the phone. It's away from Twitter. What do you take away from these couple of days?
Well, there's 17 of the 20 that are committed. There's only 3 uncommitted prospects in the group. There's going to be some movement. I think we see it year in and year out where we look at the initial roster and where those commitments were and kind of draw the arrows to where some of these players are going to be playing. That's not how it ends up on signing day. So I think it's a good barometer for us to get a feel for where some players are potentially leaning, who could be some potential schools that are in the mix to potentially flip some of these players. And the thing is, you guys know this better than anyone, there's so much movement now in the coaching carousel that recruiting is super fluid, and these quarterbacks are all maintaining contact. We just talked to Trey Taylor, who's been committed to Nebraska for well over a year now, Tom. And Ohio State came in recently, right? And that was a very public announcement of a commitment, right? That they're trying to flip and they're trying to get a temperature check there. He said that's not the only school. He didn't want to mention the other programs, right? And that's fair for Trey Taylor not to want to tell us. But I think it just shows you that behind the scenes, there's a lot of dialogue. There's still a lot of communication. I think every player now, especially quarterbacks, they know that this is a business and that they know that these teams, these programs, these college coaches, they're all moving. It's going to be a carousel coming at some point during the season. So they're all going to communicate. And I think what happens now is really interesting because you can kind of see what these other quarterbacks are doing. You can say, oh, well, I can go there and beat another guy out. So I think from a recruiting standpoint, gives us a lot of really good anecdotes and a good clear picture heading into the season.
I just love the opportunity we get to know these guys on a deeper level. I mean, we deal with them all year round, but it's just a little different because a lot of it's text exchange, quick notes. Hey, where are you visiting? What do you have going on this weekend? Maybe a post-visit quote here via text or a phone call. It's just not the same.
And I think from an intangible standpoint, Andrew, I know you kind of dive into this a little bit, right? From the scouting side, you get a sense of how someone's wired.
100%.
And that could at some point nudge you to push him even higher up the rankings or to bet on a guy and buy some stock in him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go back to last year's Elite 11 finals. Jet Tamala, he's a guy that we had at the back end of the top 247. He arrived, committed to Iowa State, flipped his commitment to Alabama. That's when we really got a chance to spend some time with him, kind of figure out, all right, how much does football matter? How do you take to coaching? How do you progress? How much growth is there? And can you accomplish what's being asked of you? And, I thought over the course of the 3 days, he got better and better. And then he parlayed that into a heck of a senior season. And he ended up finishing as a borderline 5-star prospect for us. So, yeah, the ability to kind of just pick these guys' brains and ask them questions that normally you wouldn't be able to do in a text message setting or over the phone. It's certainly invaluable. And look, we're trying to project these guys to the NFL, and we want to get it right when it comes to, hey, a first-round projection, a second-round projection, a third-round projection. Guess what? NFL teams, they get the scouting combine, they get the 30-player interviews. They can bring them in. We don't get any of that, and this is an opportunity for us to spend time with players that are playing the game's most difficult position and just kind of get a better idea, some insight into how they're wired between the ears.
I love finding out how different they are when you get them in that one-on-one setting and you're just hanging out with them, and they can say, yeah, I was talking to this school or talking to that school, or you can see how competitive they are. I don't know. There's just something about this event in particular that it's just a little different. It gives you that little bit of a nudge that, like, Andrew, I want to stand on the table for this kid. He's just wired a little different. Or another kid might be, he's kind of shying away from competition, or you could tell he's a little, insecure. So again, we have a bunch of elite prospects. I mean, these are the best quarterbacks in America. And we just talked about, you mentioned the 2026 class that was here last cycle and it was loaded. You also talked about how wide open this one is. So as a whole, with this group of 20, what's your overall take as this 2027 class as a whole right now at quarterback?
Yeah, I think, certainly I think there's a lead group at the top. I think the depth when we look at the class of 2027 at quarterback, it's not there. And this isn't just my opinion, having watched the tape, having been to these regionals. I mean, you talk with the Elite 11 coaches here, but also college coaches and general managers and quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators around the country. That is kind of the general consensus. It's a bit of a down cycle at the quarterback position. Now, I'll raise my hand here and say, hey, guys, we still got the senior seasons to go for these individuals. Some of these quarterbacks here this weekend have only been a one-year starter, right? We really don't know much about them and haven't seen their ability to grow as a decision maker, to grow as a leader under the lights on Friday night. So, yeah, I think there's maybe not as much star power compared to previous years. But then again, I look at the top of our rankings. I look at this roster in the 20-man field this year, and there's some guys that I get really excited about. And I think it starts with Elijah Haven, the number 1 ranked quarterback. Right behind him, like I said, Izzy Abrams, Trey Taylor. I think you can spin that even further down to Jake Narwat, who was a big riser, a one-year starter there. Peter Bork, Peyton Houston. I mean, you can keep going. Davin Davidson. I mean, there's a lot of guys, and you got to give a ton of credit to Brian Stump and the Elite 11 staff. I mean, this is this might be the tallest group of finalists we've ever had in the 27 years of the Elite 11 finals. And the other thing, these guys are all athletic. A lot of them are multi-sport athletes. They can move, they can create with their legs. So I think Brian Stump and his staff have done an excellent job of assembling this roster. And I think it's a lot of guys we're not going to only see on Saturdays. These guys have a chance to play on Sundays as well.
I want to get to you, Blair, in a second. I want to talk favorites. I want to talk top contenders to win the whole thing, and we'll talk about what's next. But I also want to say to everybody watching at home, if you use promo code ELITE11 at 24/7 Sports right now, you can save 60% off an annual subscription right now. Whether you're an Alabama fan, Notre Dame, Michigan, it doesn't matter. Go to your team site, sign up today, use promo code ELITE11, and save 60% off right now at 24/7 Sports. Guys, I want to look at the 20 names. You mentioned that it's a little bit top heavy, but I think it's still wide open. That's what's a little bit different about this group. But I want to talk about, before we get to favorites, I want to ask you, Blair, who are you most excited about? It could be somebody out of your region, in your region, and I don't even care what the reason is. I want to know what it is. But who are you most excited to see over these next couple of days?
Elijah Haven. I've never had exposure to him. I'm out here tucked away in Southern California. I've never been able to see him. So this is a really cool setting for me to be able to watch him throw for the first time. I'm really familiar with all the West Coast quarterbacks, being a West Coast analyst. The one in the region, though, I think that I'm most intrigued to watch is Camden Lopati. Headed to Michigan, went to the Indy Regional. I've seen him at the high school level a number of times. I've seen him at various showcases and camps. I think this is a player that continues to make strides on the football field. Nicknamed the Cowboy. I know you're a big nickname guy, Andrew. Yeah. And I want to see him giddy up this week, right? Like against some of these other quarterbacks and see where his arm talent is, because that's a big stage at Michigan with a new coach, a new staff. They want to bring in a kind of a new flavor. They go back to their old stomping grounds in Salt Lake City to get Camden Lopati. I want to see if he's ready to make an impact at the Big Ten level with the Wolverines in the Big House. They want to take 2 quarterbacks in this class, but he was clearly a player that they targeted as soon as they got there. They beat out Notre Dame. They beat out Cal and Florida and a few other programs. So I want to see how he stacks up nationally.
Anybody you're pretty fired up to see? I know you've seen pretty much everybody in this class.
I mean, all 20 of them. And the name we keep going back to here is Elijah Haven. And talking with a few of the Elite 11 coaches last night, I think someone put it best. Big 3 days for Mr. Haven there. I mean, he's a supersized signal caller. He's the Gatorade Player of the Year last year in the state of Louisiana. He set state records in touchdown passes and touchdown yards. On paper, he's got the best resume in this class. He's an above-the-rim finisher on the hardwood, but you go back to the New Orleans regional when he punched his ticket. It wasn't the most complete performance. It wasn't the most consistent performance. So I think, me personally, I want to see if he can string it together for 3 days. I want to see if he can start matching his ceiling and what he's able to do. So certainly Elijah Haven. And then, how about Peyton Houston, the LSU commit? Again, talking with college decision makers, that's the name that always comes up when we talk about this quarterback class. But Peyton Houston isn't the biggest guy, right? He's on the smaller side. So I want to see if his arm, his accuracy, what he's able to do as a passer with his timing and with his rhythm, if he can overcome maybe some of the deficiencies compared to some of these other finalists. So I think it's a big 3 days for him as well as we try to stack and rack this quarterback class. I mean, there's plenty of others. Will Menzel, the Oregon commit, that's a guy we loved on tape as a junior. Yep. We got him at the Navy All-American Bowl. He moves to 4-star status and kind of put a rocket ship on him. He too at his regional maybe didn't have his best stuff. So I think that's kind of the common theme here. We haven't been able to get a full, complete evaluation on all these guys. And again, this is going to be another good data point for us to kind of figure out that math equation.
For me, it's Jake Nalrot. I haven't been able to see him yet. He's like the only one in the class that I haven't been able to see in the top group. And after hearing you rave about him at I believe it was the Indianapolis Regional, I mean, I'm super excited about him. I think Kentucky got a good one. Really excited about him. I want to make one more call. We're about to go to Trey Taylor in a second. Give me your 24/7 Sports Alpha Dog prediction. Andrew, I'll start with you. We got 3 days. They're not going to pick an MVP for the Elite 11 until the opening, so they're going to pick 11 and bring them out there. Give me your Alpha Dog for 24/7 Sports prediction right now.
Yeah, well, Tom, me and you did the fantasy draft on the 24/7 Sports a few days ago, and I think me and you kind of saw it the same way in terms 100%. Of the tiers of these quarterbacks. And like you said, I mean, I think anyone has a chance at making it to Oregon for the opening finals. And I think anyone's really got a chance at making a run at that MVP. But for me, I think just based on the body of work, what we saw at the regionals, I think the two guys out in front are Trey Taylor, who's committed to Nebraska. I think he's had as good of an offseason as anyone in the country, not only at the quarterback position, and then Peyton Houston. I thought he looked like a pro when we got him in New Orleans at that regional. So for me, I think those two are the front runners right now. I think those guys would be the odds-on favorite to be the MVP for the Elite 11 staff. But again, I think anyone out there can kind of throw their name into the mix.
I like it. Blair?
First of all, Tom, I want to apologize because I was Team Ivins on the draft there. I love the size that Andrew put together. I mean, I kind of go Trey Taylor. From the West Coast specific, I think I'm really intrigued to see Dane Weber, who just came off the board to Cal, was really dynamic up at the Oakland Regional, had a couple no-look passes. We've really feeling himself. I think he thrives in this setting. He's really methodical with his dropbacks. He's got really good footwork. The arm talent kind of pops. He's a sneaky one. When we're kind of thinking about a wild card this weekend, remember that I said Dane Weber as a potential dark horse.
I think we're all in agreement on that one for sure. I think we all like Dane. I think there's an opportunity there. He was good at 2 regionals that he went to. We saw him at. So really impressive. I think you nailed it. Peyton and Trey are probably the 2 favorites heading into this one. Speaking of Trey Taylor, we will bring him on right now, the future Nebraska Cornhusker. Trey Taylor.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. I want to ask, man, first of all, we'll get to the Nebraska stuff. We'll get to the recruitment, but you're one of the top quarterbacks in America. How does it feel to be an Elite 11 finalist?
It feels great. I mean, just look at the pictures all around us. Like, you're a part of something that will be known for history, and, just having the opportunity to be here is great.
What are you looking to take out of this week, the next couple of days, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, working with guys like Brian Stump and Matt James? What are you looking to take away?
I think the biggest thing is obviously take everything from the coaches, but like all of us here, we all know each other on a player ranking scale. Like, none of us actually know each other as like real people. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I want to get to know, some of these faces I've never even seen before, but I see them all the time on social media and all these recruiting websites. So it'll be cool to get to know these guys and just, really truly build that friendship and that brotherhood. So that, and then also getting to go out there and compete with them. Like, we're going to have our fun times. We're going to have our competing times, just seeing how everybody can turn it on and turn it off is going to be really cool.
Trey, I mean, you're a guy that I've seen, I think, throw 4 or 5 times maybe this offseason at 7-on-7 tournaments. Obviously, you're regional in Dallas, and it seems like every time I see you, there's some type of improvement. And really, you could apply that to your high school season under the lights as well. I mean, huge statistical improvement from sophomore to junior year. I mean, you completed 80% of your passes. What does Trey Taylor still need to work on? How does Trey Taylor to continue to improve? Where are you looking to get better?
I would say Trey Taylor needs to improve on the obvious ones are bigger, faster, stronger. Like, if you want to play at the next level, you got to get that. But I think just speeding up the game a little bit for me is the biggest thing. The faster I play now, the easier it'll be to adjust everything. And then I think the biggest thing is, like, I need to win more. Like, shoot, right now, if you look at the games I've started, I went 3-6 my sophomore year. I went like 7-2 my junior year. Like, this year I got to win state. That's the one thing I'm missing. So, as a team this year, I think we got a really good opportunity and, just continue to evolve, in that standpoint.
On the flip side, what makes you one of the top, arguably the top quarterback in America? What makes you special? What makes you different?
I would say, honestly, like, my ability to place the ball, I would say, you don't have 80% completion percentage if you don't put the ball where it needs to be. I'd say that's the biggest thing. And, just really the ability to protect the ball. That's something I really worked on last offseason and continue to work on this offseason. The less we had turnovers, the more success we had. So I'd say the ability to not turn the ball over at all.
Trey, you committed so early to Nebraska.
Yep.
With Matt Rule. Me and Tom saw you there last June playing 7-on-7. Why Nebraska? What made them stand out to you? You had tons of options. It sounds like schools are still trying to give you options. So, what made you so comfortable in the Cornhuskers? 'Huskers?
I would say just knowing I can go there and, have an opportunity to play early. Because at the end of the day, like you can ask any kid here, what every college coach says is the earlier you get on the field, the more opportunity you have to get to the NFL. So that opportunity for sure. And like I told Tom the other day, like I want to go somewhere and not just be another number. I want to go there and like make a name for myself. And when Nebraska teams are good, they're legendary and they're historic. So I hope the 27 class and the future classes moving on can really provide that for the state.
Yeah, you made it pretty clear. You don't want to just go be a part of a program. You want to go like take it to the next level, build a program, and really be a face of a program. And it's unbelievable because it's very rare for a high school recruit to be the face of a program. And you basically are. You're not even there, and yet you are. When everybody talks about Nebraska football, they associate it with Trey Taylor. Matt Rhule, we went up there last year, first time in Lincoln. Unbelievable experience. We immediately said to each other, like, I get it. Nebraska's different. The facilities are great. Matt Rhule gave us time and was incredible to deal with. And so playing for Matt Rhule, why was that important to you? Why is he the head coach for you for the next couple of years?
Yeah. I mean, like you just said, like he's going to make sure he takes care of his people, and his people are his boys. There is no like that favoritism stuff. Like, no, if he sees a kid, here's a great story. Like there's ping pong tables all across the facility, right? Coach Rhule never walk past that table if somebody's on there and not want to stop and say what's up or play or say what's up to them. Like that's just a great person to himself. Now you look at him as a coach, like been to the NFL, he goes and wins places. Nebraska went from being a losing record team to being 7-5 back-to-back years. And obviously we need to continue to grow on that and get better with that. But the development standpoint and how he moves is just, somebody you want to look up to and someone you want to be your coach. Like he's always going to have your corner. So I think those are the biggest reasons.
Trey, how long have you been training for the Elite 11 finals? Because I mentioned that, when we go back to the initial rankings for this class, like your name came up and I don't think you had much varsity experience.
No.
You're a guy that it seems like has been doing everything from a very young age. So
right.
It's first I've got to feel cool that, now you are here at the Elite 11 finals. You're, like you said, you pointed out the banners, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence,
right.
But how long has Trey Taylor been training for this moment?
I'm not gonna lie, like I never really envisioned myself being at the Elite 11. Like it's never been like an end goal for me. Like I saw you guys in Miami, and I was questioning if I even want to go to the regionals, right? So I would say really it just became a thing I not more so trained for, but just kind of got myself in like the right state of mind for once I got the invite. So yeah, I mean everything I trained for is for the season, and we're not gonna do drills that we're not gonna have to do while we're actually playing. Like, it's pointless, especially at a camp like this. Like what you do here is what you're gonna end up seeing in a game one day. So just the more I prepare for the season, the better I'll get at what I need to do here.
From a personal standpoint, I have seen tremendous growth from you over the last couple of years. I've seen you a bunch of times at a variety of events. I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I look back to it was a 7-on-7. I think you were a freshman. You were getting very emotional. We get it. It wasn't your best game. You had a bunch of people running their mouth, talking noise. But as a pup at the time, what I took away from that in an emotional, kind of vulnerable state from you was the passion, the intensity, the willingness to win. Right. Where does that come from? I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about. So where does that come from? The fire, the desire to be the best in the country.
I think it really came from just like a lot of people just like not thinking I could do it. Like the biggest thing on me was like my size and who I am. Well, I went out there and proved everybody wrong. I put size on, I got bigger, stronger, faster. Then it was like, okay, well, can you process? Can you do this? Well, shoot, I'm not playing with any 5-star receivers, 4-star receivers, so I got to process with my group. We went 80%. We threw the ball. We went for 3,500 yards as a group. Like that's what we did. So I think the more people present to me and what I can't do is just like me wanting to continue to get past that level. So like the whole emotional standpoint, like that was done. Like that was the last time that happened, because it was like, okay, that gave them a reason to really do that to me and feel like they had that power over me. So, I think with me being a competitor and who I am, every time I go on the field now, 7-on-7, real football, like it's always got to be that same emotion of it's like a dog eats dog world. So whoever I face off against and whether that's on the field or off the field, like I got to go prove them wrong.
I want to ask you quickly, there was reports, there was Ohio State chatter, other schools, kind of where do things stand right now? And I guess I'll just ask you candidly, are you going to sign with Nebraska?
Go Big Red. That's all I got to say. Like I committed May 1st of 2025, right? I've been being recruited by other schools May 2nd of 2025. That's just how it is. And it got out to people. And of course, like, that's like the thing. But here's what I'm going to tell people. Like, I've been very honest and open with people about this. Like, I got to be given a reason to not go to the University of Nebraska. And that reason's got to be enormous. Like, coach got to be gone type of reason.
Yeah.
So it's Go Big Red, and it has been Go Big Red, and I haven't showed it hasn't been Go Big Red for the past year and like a couple months.
No argument with that. Last one. You got people watching at home. You got recruits watching at home. Anybody out there you're recruiting to join you with the Big Red?
Joey Hunter from Grayson, Jalen Hill from St. John Bosco. We got a couple other ones. I just like some are kind of just like on the back burner, big name kids that we don't want to. I was told not to put out there.
Leak it yet? Okay.
Yeah. I was told not to put out there, but definitely some kids that we're going after. So.
Last one for me. I didn't know this until I was doing some prep for this week. Your dad played with Tony Romo. Is that?
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to Tony?
Yeah. I've been youth camp. I've got to work with him. Everything. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Little nugget there.
Yeah.
I don't know how we've gotten this far until I learned that this week.
I whatever. Just don't tell my dad he was athletic enough to play with Tony Romo because he'll be like, oh yeah, back in the day I ran 4.3. Yeah, all right.
Trey Taylor, future
back then.
Right.
future Nebraska quarterback. Appreciate you as always, man. Thank you so much,
Thank
dude.
you guys.
All right. Nebraska's getting a good one. Nebraska's
Yeah,
wow.
We'll see, right? I mean, he said enormous. That could be
Enormous reason for me not to go.
a variety of different ways. And
Yeah.
look, the growth, like you said, I mean, the player comp we have on the profile for Trey Taylor is CJ Stroud. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to roll their eyes at that type of it. But I think there's a lot of similarities at this stage. And the growth from the sophomore to junior seasons, I just turn on the tape, study it. I think Trey, he mentioned it, his ability to process, but his feel, how he senses pressure, how he can layer the football, how he can find and create throwing windows. It's really impressive. And I said 80% completion percentage. That was actually 81.7%, 35-3 touchdown to interception ratio. And he also ran for over 500 yards. So he's not just a guy that wants to do it in the pocket. And the other thing, Tom, is we mentioned this offseason and the rise it has been. That Dallas regional, there was like 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts outside. And Trey was not fazed by it. Now, he's a kid that's from Illinois, right? So he's played in those type of conditions before. But if you're going to be in the Big Ten, right, you're going to have to go to Iowa and play in the rain. There's some other stops out there, Minnesota, potential snow. And I just love that fit for the Cornhuskers. Now, I think the big question for me is, hey, can Nebraska build around this guy? And they've been involved with so many different blue chippers out there. Haven't got, many of them to jump on board yet. But I really like what they're doing with that offensive line haul recently, and Trey's gonna have some big bodies protecting him, and that it seems like a recipe for success there for Matt Rule.
Yeah, I think they're at the 21st ranked class in the country. They have 11 commits. You singled out the O-line group, but just big picture. I mean, we've seen Trey Proctor at tight end. We've seen Tay Ellis at receiver. A couple guys that stood out for me. Anybody in that class that really sticks out for you? Was it? I mean, I know you really, really like Jordan Agbanoma.
Yeah, Jordan Agbanoma, Matt Erickson, Agbanoma out of the state of Georgia.
Yeah,
one of the top interior linemen. I like the idea of him at center. They got his teammate KD Jones as well. The two wide receivers they have committed. One's out of South Florida, Tay Ellis out of Texas. I mean, Matt Rule made a living finding those guys with the track markers that kind of outplayed their projections. So yeah, that's the group for me. But I'm excited to see potentially how Nebraska can build this thing out, especially if they get it done on the field this fall.
I like that he mentioned Jalen Hill at cornerback as a priority target. I know Blair would agree here. Nebraska's in a really good spot there. So they're going to continue to build. Nebraska's in great hands with Matt Rule, Trey Taylor. Future is bright. Speaking of a bright future and a tall future, I think we got Davin Davidson here with us. Grab a seat, man. Top 247 quarterback who has had I'm sure a whirlwind of the last couple of months, currently committed to Florida. But just to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit, we saw him at the Miami Regional. I was at the opening event the night before. You were at the Elite 11 as well the day after. And since then, you were firmly cemented as one of the top quarterbacks in America. So since that point in January, what's it been like over the last couple of months?
It's been a lot of visits, a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom calls. Really trying to narrow down the process as fast and cleanly as possible for me and my family. That's how we ended up at Florida. Went from 32 offers down to 1 in 3 months. So
I told you that night. I'm like, I walked up to you and I said, your life is about to change.
Yes.
And he said the same thing. He stamped you the next day. What was, I mean, social media, your phone, your family, your friends, what was the reaction to just kind of the craziness that ensued?
I mean, it's time. Like, I always had a feeling it would come. I just had to trust the process and let it all pan out how it was supposed to. And then once it did, it kind of just took off. Like, really, that's all you can say is it took off.
Davin, I mean, you're committed to Florida and that new staff there, John Summerall, and they were part of that early wave of offers there in January. Why Florida and Buster Faulkner in that offense? Like, how did they win out, and why are you headed to Gainesville?
I think just the amount of trust they have in me as a player. They're willing to work with me. They want to develop me. You can really tell that staff wants the best for their players, and they want to develop you, and they're going to coach you hard. But at the end of the day, they're going to love you. So that's really refreshing to know, especially playing in the SEC. It's a different breed of football for sure. But it's just a completely different culture there than anywhere else I've seen. And I really believe in what is coming in the Swamp, because it's what Coach Summerall says, it's a sleeping giant. So I fully believe that.
I think what's also unique about you, besides the fact that you're like 6'8", right? I didn't even recognize you when we were walking in the hotel. I mean, you have certainly grown. You're saying it's the Nike shoes there, but you're the tallest quarterback here. Is you're a 1-year starter, right? And I saw you early on last year. You guys played Cherry Creek there in Colorado, and it was like, whoa, who's this big 6'6" quarterback? And you end up winning a state championship there in the Sunshine State. So there's still, I think, some growth, right?
Yes.
Some growth for you. So what are you working on? What do you want to show? And what are you hoping to get out of the Elite 11 finals here the next 3 days and carry that into your senior season?
I really want to take in as much information as I can to improve not only in the pass game, but maybe IQ overall of the game. I think everyone can improve there nonstop, no matter how good you are. Another thing is just working on touch, layering balls, knowing when to use the fastball and when not to. And then I think that's really it. Just keeping everything clean, mechanics, footwork, all that clean. And then just kind of playing how I play, doing what I can do, trusting in what I'm taught to do. It's going to keep carrying me and developing.
I know you committed on the CBS Sports College Football YouTube channel. That was an incredible moment. You were super excited. But peel back the curtain a little bit. When did you tell Summerall, Faulkner, and all of the guys that you wanted to play in Gainesville? Kind of set the stage. What was the reaction? Where was everybody? How did it all play out?
I was at the spring game. I was at a spring practice,
okay.
And I was kind of just watching practice, not having anything in mind. Just a blank slate. And I texted my parents after the first team period, this is home, because that's all I needed to see is first team period. I knew that's exactly where I wanted to be, and there were no other questions I needed to ask. So I let Coach Faulkner, Coach Summerall, and Coach Craddock know that day, and then kept it quiet for, I think, 2 weeks, and then let the world know later in April, and then the rest is history from there.
What is Florida getting in Davin Davidson, the player, the person? Just why should Florida fans be fired up about your addition to the program?
I don't think there's many skill sets brewing in the country that I have, or have been in the country that I have. So I think that's something definitely to look forward to. You don't know who you're getting yet, because you haven't seen me on the field for Florida, but you're getting a leader, you're getting a winner, you're getting a competitor. I absolutely hate losing. So
It's a good trait. That's a good trait.
a national championship will be coming to the Swamp soon. Yeah, just a gamer. Like, I'm gonna go play with 110% effort every game. Never look back.
Who do you got in the Florida quarterback competition here? You Tramel Jones, Aaron Philo. Give us some insight. You said you were out of spring practice.
That's hard. I think they're both great, and I think they both bring like different skill sets to the field. So I honestly don't think you can go wrong with either of them. But I would say Philo maybe because he's more experienced. He's been with Coach Faulkner for a long time now, or a few years now, and he's got some in-game reps. So is Tramel, but I think Philo's a little bit more advanced in that aspect.
And then I got to ask, who are you trying to get to join you at Florida? You look at this recruiting class, man. Maxwell Hiller, 5-star offensive lineman. They just added Jaboya Smith, top 247. Yeah, top 247 linebacker. So who are you trying to get to join you there in Gainesville?
It was Jaboya Smith for a while, and then we finally got him today. So that was definitely rewarding. And then next, I'd love Frederick Arts to jump on board. I'd want Trayvon Hall to jump on board. I think he's pretty close. Hopefully, he'll pull the trigger soon. Kennedy Jackson, another one. I'd love to jump on board.
Plenty of guys.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's a
plenty
pretty
of
good group.
All right, we'll get you out of here on this. I got trivia questions for some of
Okay.
you guys. Last Florida commit to win Elite 11 Finals MVP.
Sheesh. I should know this. Gosh.
Tom, do you know?
No, but I probably should as well.
All right, just give me one guess, guys. Come
Tim
on.
Tebow?
That was where my head was, but I don't think he won MVP.
No, Jeff Driscoll.
And he won MVP?
He did.
Wow.
According to the Elite 11 Research Vault. So
I-
hopefully that
I
number
believe
is correct.
it.
Yeah, I mean,
Dang.
good question. I mean, I'm
Tim
questioning
Tebow's
my
exactly where
research.
my head went. That's exactly where my head went. But I'm like, I don't think he won it. Davin Davidson, appreciate you as always, man. Thank you so much. You got a big week ahead of you. Yeah, you're good. Great. Thank you again.
Thank you for
Appreciate it,
having
man.
me.
No, Florida's getting a good one, man. Very excited. Yeah, I mean, he nailed it. Jabiah Smith commits. Kennedy Jackson's another one that I feel good about. I know Tyler Harden covers is over at the Swamp 24/7. Jalen Brewster, 5-star defensive lineman, also in play. So really good group of potential additions. But looking at this class as a whole, Ivans, I mean, you know him better. You already brought up Maxwell Hiller, 5-star offensive lineman. Who do you like in this group?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the offensive line haul they got there, and Phil Trotline comes in from Penn State, so it's not surprising that he is getting it rolling up front at his alma mater. You know, Davin to me is one of the more polarizing quarterbacks in this class, and yeah, he's 6'6", probably pushing 6'7", 6'8". I mean, he's a big dude, and like I said, 1-year starter. I saw him up close in person this past September, and he had like 4 scholarship offers. And I was texting offensive coordinators around the country. I'm like, hey, like this guy looks like he could be something. Now, you know, he isn't the most polished. He isn't the most complete prospect at this stage. But what I like about Davin is when he misses safe, right? It's high, it's wide, it's not in the way of a defensive back. You know, he kind of limits those turnovers. So he's a big tower in the pocket, and he can certainly distribute. So he's one where I'm excited to see what this looks like in this type of setting, because the RPMs, his ability, he can dial it up like few others. I mean, this is a kid that was touching 90 miles per hour on the baseball mound. So he's got all the tools, just needs some more seasoning.
We're going to get to Will Menzel in a few minutes, but I do want to start. I want to touch on a couple quarterbacks that we may or may not get today or have on, and kind of make sure we hit some guys. So I want to look at the Alabama duo, the guys that are currently committed to play for the Crimson Tide. We've talked about a little bit about 5-star quarterback Elijah Haven. We got top 247 quarterback Trent Seaborn. So with that group, I mean, both of you guys. Actually, we'll start with you, Blair. What do you like about these guys, and or anything? I know you already talked about. You're excited to see Elijah, but what are your thoughts on this duo headed to Tuscaloosa?
I think it's really unique to see one team represented with two commits
Right.
here, right? And
Not normal.
And it's I think it's a unique opportunity for these players to see what they're going to be facing at the next level. I just spoke to Trent Seaborn a couple minutes ago, and he goes, yeah, like Elijah Haven, big guy, big arm, and it's going to be fun to kind of see where I stack up with him heading into that eventual competition for quarterback number one there in Tuscaloosa. Now, they got a Keelan Russell in the room. They're going to be in the conversation for the next 5-star, right, in future classes. So I think these guys understand that it's a competition no matter what happens, but it's a huge job, right? It's the Alabama quarterback job. So you don't blame a Trent Seaborn for saying, yeah, I'm going to go fight and compete for this. I think what's also interesting about it is Trent Seaborn could easily back away from this if he wanted to, right, and have all the other potential options that could open up. But I think it's very admirable to see a player like that say, hey, these are the odds that I have in front of me, and this is kind of how things are stacked up for me. But it shows a lot about the character. It shows about the compete level. A player that I met when he was a 7th grader, he showed up to a Polynesian Bowl combine out in Las Vegas, and I showed him a photo that I snapped on my phone a few years ago. Babyface Trent Seaborn, and now to see where he's at now, kind of on his way to the top. Right, he's among the top 20 quarterbacks that are here at this event, and in a sense, we don't want to just chalk it up to Elijah Haven being the guy. I think, and it also speaks volumes knowing that the Crimson Tide are trying to land both of them.
Well, they're two of the most experienced quarterbacks here, right? Elijah Haven, 34-5 as a starter. Trent Seaborn, he started 45 games. I mean, he won a state title as an 8th grader at Thompson. I think it's so funny you mentioned that photo of you and Trent Seaborn. There's a photo of him walking off the field with Peter Woods, who was just selected in the first round of the NFL draft. Like, he's been playing high school football that long. I mean, it is mind-blowing to me. And, he's, not the biggest guy, not the best arm, but he is a winner, and he finds ways to get things done. And, I think his experience, his ability to sense pressure in the pocket, it's some of the best we have seen in the class. He's tough. He will stand his ground. He will make the throw in the face of pressure. And, I think if you're Alabama and you could fuse these two guys together, that's kind of what you
Dream
want.
Quarterback, yeah.
But that's not the case. They're two separate individuals. And I think for Alabama, the fact that they continue to invest in high school quarterback recruiting, it's a unique approach in this era with the transfer portal, the name, image, and likeness. But hey, they're doing it, and we'll see what Keelan Russell looks like this upcoming season, or Austin Mack, a guy that they originally recruited out of high school, followed them over there from Washington. But you got to pay at some point. And I think for Alabama, I just love the idea of them continuing to stack quarterbacks. And this could be the second year in a row they take 2 high school arms. I mean, that feels like something we would have seen in the 80s, not here in 2026.
Extremely talented. They're both productive at the high school level. Great human beings. Elijah looks phenomenal off the hoof. Trent Seaborn's no slouch. He's filling out. He looks like a grown man. Like, he's become a guy that's not that 7th grader, the baby face anymore. So exciting duo, but that's not all they've landed this cycle. So they got a really good class. They got a really good player in this class, but they have a long way to go to really take that class to the next level. So looking at the group, big picture of the ones headed to Tuscaloosa, anybody stick out to you in this 27 class?
Yeah, Kenneth Simon, right? Top 247 linebacker. I mean, he's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, former safety, has moved closer to the line of scrimmage. I mean, I think, heck, he could even be a situational pass rusher early on in his career. DPR, kind of that new age 3-down linebacker. And, defenses continue to get exotic with the personnel, and I think he's going to fit what they want to do there in Tuscaloosa. He's the one, to me, where I get super excited. At the same time, Tom, Alabama, right? June's a few days away. When are they going to take it out of neutral and kind of get this thing going on the recruiting front? And, this used to be the case with Nick Saban. It's not like this is nothing new with Kalen DeBoer, but there is a lot of meat left on the bone for them here over the next few weeks. And we know that Courtney Morgan and the Crimson Tide are obviously going to be looking and gunning for flips as we get closer to the early signing period. But I think it's a bit interesting right now to me, not a lot of offensive linemen committed to Alabama. And I think that's kind of been a bit of an Achilles heel for them
100%.
in recent years. They're having to lean heavily on the transfer portal. So we'll see, what if can they get some of these big boys on board, because they obviously haven't figured out at quarterback.
for me, the one I'm watching is Monchin Sales. He talked about potential additions in this class. I mean, he goes by Bama. He's from Alabama originally, lives in Indiana now. I think it's going to be an Indiana-Texas battle. Like, if you were to pick a school right now, that's where I think the 5-star wide receiver would go, is one of those programs that I'm leaning towards the Hoosiers. But again, Alabama sunk their teeth into him early. They're all over him. Official visits will play a factor before he decides in July or August. But I know there's some guys out west that Alabama would love to land.
And Seaborn mentioned Sales as a guy that he feels really good about. I think the dialogue has been very productive, and he feels like they have a chance to get him. Osani Gales was another one that he mentioned, a player at IMG Academy who has West Coast roots, wants to reveal his commitment, I believe, in June at some point at the end of next month. Tom, Hayden Stepp is a big-time prospect. I think he's a high 4-star, maybe a potential 5-star candidate out of Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman, and they've had a lot of success recruiting that school, landing Derek Meadows a couple years ago. They came up just short for Jet Washington last cycle. So I do think that when Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan and the entire staff there is trying to map out a blueprint of what they want to do, they are going to lean in to some of those West Coast roots and continue to attack California and some of these other states that are having a lot of success. I think Gales right now is probably one of those players that you pinpoint and say, okay, if you were able to add him to some of the other offensive weapons that you have, should make up for kind of that meat on the bone that you mentioned, Andrew.
One more name I want to mention, just in talking to Brett Greenberg, who does a phenomenal job at Bama 24/7, and Benjamin Wolk, who covers Peach State. Nigel Newkirk, running back. I think Alabama's in a really good spot there. He's likely to commit on our network at CBS Sports sometime in June. So maybe July. Keep an eye on that one. I like the Crimson Tide there. So a lot of positive movements, but they got to get some recruitments across the finish line. We're going to get to Oregon quarterback commit Will Menzel here right now, actually. But before that, I do want to say, Elite 11, that is your promo code if you want to sign up at 24/7 Sports. Again, any fan, whether Michigan, Washington, USC, anything, sign up today. Promo code Elite 11 gets you 60% off at 247sports.com. Will Menzel, Oregon commit. How we doing?
Doing great. Excited to be here. Excited to get another opportunity to compete.
We're excited to have you, man. Let's just take it right to the commitment. Why the Ducks? Why Dan Lanning? Why is that the place for you?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it came down to wanting to play in the NFL. That's been my dream since a little kid. I feel like when you play with a bunch of first-round picks around you, it doesn't help or it doesn't hurt. So just that, and then the scheme was a big piece of it, and then also the relationships. I love that staff on the field, but also just off the field as people.
How did that moment play out behind the scenes when you actually told them? I remember seeing that picture of you as a kid in the Oregon jersey, and I know this place means a lot to you and your family. So how did it kind of peel back the curtain a little bit when you actually told them, how they reacted, where everybody was? Just kind of set the stage for everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess kind of narrowing it down to that final three, and just being able to see them for the last time and seeing Penn State for the first time. But I mean, I was kind of in between two. It really came down to Oregon and Auburn. But took my last visit to Oregon, and it was funny. Me and my parents talked the night before in the hotel room, just kind of pros and cons and what we liked, didn't like. And it seemed like the next meeting we had with Lanning that he addressed every single con. And it was almost like he had our room tapped, which was funny. But I mean, coming out of that meeting, I think he told me, he goes, what do I need to do to get Will Menzel to jump on board? And I was like, honestly, coach, I just need to go home, figure a couple things out, and you'll be hearing a call soon. So, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind getting on the plane back home where I was going. It was just a matter of figuring out some logistic things and making phone calls to other places, which is always tough, but the right thing to do. So I felt like Oregon was the best spot for me.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to say yes to the school than to say no to the others.
Will, I think we rewind a year ago. Does Will Menzel in 2025 think that Will Menzel's making the Elite 11 finals this year? I mean, it's been quite the rise.
It's been crazy. I remember Coach Koa was actually just in town hanging out with me like 2 weeks ago. And I told him, I was like, if you told me 2 years ago that I would have been committed to Oregon, I would have said you're crazy. But just going into this past season, having really no expectations for myself, just going out there trying to prove everybody wrong. I felt like I did a good job of that, but what I'm most excited for is kind of that jump you saw from the beginning to the end of the year. I felt like there's been an even bigger jump than to when I've last played a football game. I feel like I've only grown more mentally and physically. I'm starting to put on a little bit of weight. I'm starting to put the right things in my body, realize what it takes to really be at this level, and seeing other people that have been at this level for a while, and just seeing how they operate. So I feel like it's definitely you're gonna see another big jump this year.
Yeah, and I think, we had you at the Navy All-American Bowl. We made you a 4-star prospect. We loved kind of what we saw in practices. And then in the game, you have some success moving the ball as an underclassman there in San Antonio. But we get you at the Indianapolis Regional for this. And maybe probably not the best kind of day for you. But since then, we've seen you on the 7-on-7 circuit. So what are you looking to show over the next 3 days? Where do you think you need to improve? And what do you think you have to do to win MVP of this thing?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say first of all that regional in Indianapolis was not my best day. But I mean,
I love that you can admit that. Like, I love
my
that.
eyes weren't lying.
yeah, no, definitely not the sharpest. But I mean, I'm just excited to get out here and compete. I feel like I've worked on a lot of my pocket presence just in spring football. I feel like the ball's starting to jump a little bit more, getting a little bit more of a consistent spiral, just throwing pretty much every single day. And then just being a guy that stands out. I don't have the biggest arm. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the strongest. But I'm accurate and I make the right decisions. I'm a very cerebral quarterback. I take pride in that, and just knowing playbooks and knowing stuff like that, being able to read defenses. So I'm not somebody that loves to go around to different quarterback coaches. Isn't exactly my type of environment. I'm a football player. I want to put my helmet on and go run through somebody. But just no, I mean, it's surreal being here. You see the videos always when you're younger, and then just kind of being here today, getting all the gear has been super surreal. So I'm just excited to come out here and compete.
On the recruiting front, you're a huge name. You've blown up. He was talking about it over the last year. Navy All-American Bowl, 4-star, a bunch of offers, weekly interviews with Blair Angulo. I mean, it's the best. It's the life, right? But what is, with so many guys knowing who you are and you're all over social media, who are some targets that you're recruiting that you want to join you at Oregon? Like, if they're sitting at home watching, like, call your shot. Are there any couple guys that you're really all over?
Yeah, absolutely. We want Dakota Grant. We want Xavier Sabb. We want Blake Wong. We want Bodie Sparrow. 2028 class. We really want Braylon Clark, just to name a few. But we're definitely on more guys. Those are, from what I've communicated, the top of our board. But, I mean, we're just excited to build another special class at Oregon and win a national championship.
I think a national championship come, but you land all of those guys. Out of that entire group you just mentioned, is there one that you feel the best about?
I feel really good about Xavier Sabb.
Okay. I was trying to tell people about that. Everybody's assuming he's just going to go to Alabama, but I was told to keep a very close eye on the Ducks.
Yeah, we feel good about him. We also feel good about Dakota. So we're pushing.
Be quite the haul, man.
All right, we'll get you out of here on this. Who you gunning for over the next 3 days? Who do you think the guys, maybe the unofficial favorite heading into this thing?
Ooh, I mean, I saw your guys' draft.
Oh, man.
I have to say, pick 13, a value pick, was crazy. But
I had nothing but nice things to say.
I'm just messing with you. No, I think coming into this, I feel like the 27 quarterback class is loaded. There's a lot of top dogs. Obviously, I've heard a lot of good things about how Peyton Houston throws, Elijah Haven. I'm excited to see Jake Narod again, seeing him. Izzy Abrams, Camden Lopati. So, I mean, I'm just excited to get out here and compete. And, we're all great people. We some of us have egos, some of us don't. It's not a super big thing. We're all just excited to come out here and compete and have fun.
I'll say this, this is the most I've seen out of you personality wise. We go back to the Navy All-American Bowl, we go back to that regional. I love it. This is the Will Mitzel I want to see. I think this is what translates, being a leader in the locker room, being a leader in the huddle. I haven't seen this side of you. So now I'm excited because you're on Team Ivan. So I got that value right there. We need you to get to Oregon. Well,
I actually want to make a trade. Can we do trades at this point? After getting around Will, man, I feel like I need to a 2-for-1 or something. Will Mitzel, appreciate it, man. Good luck this week. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. That was, good times. What do you think?
I wish he'd really
Gotta loosen up a little bit,
break
right?
out of his shell a little bit. How about the hair, huh?
Yeah.
Looking a little like sunshine out here. I think the free-flowing personality, the looseness, he exemplifies like a West Coaster, right? And he's going to be a perfect fit for what Dan Lanning wants to do.
And he's a bit of a nomad, right? He's a guy that when I was trying to invite him to the Navy All-American Bowl, he had a South Florida area code and we couldn't figure it out. But, I've been struggling to find a player comp for Will Mitzel. and the more I kind of think about it, and I don't know the measurements, I don't know if they're lined up, but like there's some Bo Nix to him, I think, a little bit. That reminds me of that part of him. And I thought on tape, man, junior season, what he was able to do there at Chandler High School. I mean, huge developmental strides. And I knew the offers were coming, and he went from an unknown to like a must get for all of those college football playoff hopefuls.
Unbelievable.
This dude.
I don't want to say Justin Herbert just
Okay.
yet, right? But
Yeah,
like he
I can see
gives
that.
you a lot of the same type of personality, a guy that everyone else I think gravitates to in that locker room. He's got a lot of moxie to him too inside that Chandler, Arizona locker room, and just the way he carries himself, I think is going to speak volumes to what he's going to be able to accomplish with the Ducks. Now, remember, Arizona hasn't been very kind to the Oregon Ducks when you think about quarterbacks. Ty Thompson, who's our guy with the New Orleans Saints who ended up transferring out of Oregon.
Now you're putting me on the spot.
He's on the roster now. Tyler Shuck.
Shout out Mike Roach.
Tyler Shuck. Yeah, there's been some shortcomings, I guess you could call them, in the state of Arizona, and I know Will Mensel's trying to change that.
I want to talk about the class a little
Yeah, I
bit.
was
I
gonna
mean,
say.
really, I love that he called out every top player in America, but and I don't think any of it's far-fetched, as you can attest to a lot of the guys out west. But when you're looking at this group, there's 13 commits, number 12 nationally in 2027. What sticks out about the Oregon class?
Rashard Streets, who they go to North Carolina to get the edge rusher. I think he might have the best bend in the class. Yeah, I mean, it's up there. This is a guy that when he comes around the corner, I mean, his ability to kind of just get around those offensive tackles and get to the quarterback, ton of production for him. I think the other thing, and this is no surprise, I mean, it's been that way since Mario Cristobal was there in Eugene, the offensive line. And, we've talked a lot about this quarterback class. Obviously, we're at the Elite 11 finals, and, Will Minsel thinks it's really good. I'm glad he thinks that. But, the college side, a lot of people kind of don't think it's as deep as it's been in the past. And you want to talk about a position group where a lot of people are concerned, it's that offensive line. There are not a lot of big bodies out there around the country, but Oregon has gone and they've grabbed some of these individuals. They go into Illinois for Cameron Wagner, who committed to them, picked them over the in-state Illini. Avery Michael, I like him I think he's a developmental guy out of the state of California. I think they kind of beat everyone to the punch there. Gus Corsair out of the state of Kansas. I like him as that center position. So I think with the offensive lineman for them, it's no surprise, but it might not be the most sexy additions when you look at them commit and you look at that commit list, but these are important big bodies for the Ducks.
And when you think they had Drew Fielder committed as well, a top 100 player who ends up flipping to the hometown USC Trojans, there's some other guys that they're still in the mix with. Lucas Roa, a big-time offensive tackle from Orange Lutheran, who they're really high on right now. I think probably a top 2, top 3 school. Lex Mailangi, a big interior offensive lineman from Mater Dei, they're in on as well. So they could continue to add to that O-line group.
I love the prediction for him with Dakota Grant, because I've heard nothing but Oregon buzz for a very long time, for months. And I think the Ducks are setting the tone there in that recruitment. So a lot to like there if you're an Oregon fan. And if you're an Oregon fan, you should also be subscribed to 24/7 Sports. Use code ELITE11 and get 60% off your annual subscription. I want to go back to, we were looking at some quarterbacks, some teams. I believe we already kind of wrapped up Alabama. Let's move on to Miami. They got a good one in top 247 quarterback, Izzy Abrams, number 14 overall in the country, number 2 at the position. This is a guy that you stamped very early. I would love for you to just kind of cook on the future Hurricane.
Well, he hasn't lost a game as a starter. He's 24-0. He's won a pair of state titles. He is a elastic athlete, right? And what he's able to do in terms of finding throwing windows, he can drop the elbow. He's also really cocky, and that shows up on like the highlight tape. I mean, the game tape as well. But I mean, he's a guy that's a competitor. And he, too, was at that Indiana regional. I think there was 5 finalists there. Was not his best stuff, but, the good is really, really, really good. I think he's got an NFL caliber arm. And, Miami, this is the 3rd year in a row they've had a finalist here for Shannon Dawson, the Hurricanes have. And Izzy Abrams has a chance to be Miami's highest-ranked quarterback signee since 2002. That's when they signed Kyle Wright, who was the MVP of the Elite 11 finals in 2002. So I think this guy's got all the tools. He's got the on-field production. He's going to probably need to add some weight. But for him, stepping into this environment, he's got to figure out how to take the foot off the gas a little bit, right? Davin Davidson talked about, not always throwing the fastball. And I think the same thing kind of applies to Izzy Abrams, but the fit at Miami in a Shannon Dawson offense where they're going to have a bunch of weapons. They got Malachi Toney for at least 2 more years, but they got Nick Lanier, wide receiver committed. They got a bunch of guys that they're going to have those individuals, and they're going to have a big offensive lineman in front of them. I think if you're a Miami fan, this is the one to like get excited about. Like, there's a reason why we have him ranked there. There's a reason why Miami went all in on Izzy Abrams. So yeah, I really like not only the player, I just kind of love that fit in that offense.
He said it in an interview with me that he said he's a killer. He's got that killer mindset. He is, I think, to the casual person, kind of terrifying because of the way he carries himself. And I mean it, like, he's just got that edge, which is like I want that kid on my team. I want him as the face of my program. So a lot to like with Izzy, and he's just one of 15 commits in the class, number 4 for 24/7 Sports. They just flipped Dante Wright, 5-star cornerback, a guy extremely well, a guy you ranked really high. But Blair, kind of tell the Hurricanes fans what they got in Dante Wright.
Man, the ultimate competitor. We're in a modern era now where it's maybe a little tough in the showcase circuit to really see those truly elite on elite matchups. It used to happen 10 years ago, and we'd go and see, and the number 1 corner would seek out the number 1 receiver at the camp and say, let's see who the best is. Dante Wright's bringing that back, and he's bringing that back into fashion. I think he cherishes that. He understands that he needs to compete to be regarded to where he is. He's actually on his official visit to Miami right now, fresh off that flip from Georgia. It looked like Oregon had been kind of the leader for him for a while. That was the perceived flip destination, but the Hurricanes closed fast. They closed with a flurry, and a couple visits out there really made the difference for him. Now, this is a player who could start day one. Andrew, I know you're super high on him. I'm really high on his potential, his upside. And when you think about those players at Long Beach Poly that just have a chip on their shoulder and that could get to the next level and really do things from a compete level, I think they're getting an absolute dog.
Anything on Dante or the rest of the class?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of my favorite cornerbacks in the class. I think I wrote this somewhere. I have the same grade on him as I did Ellis Robinson a few cycles ago. Like, I think he's that good. Height, weight, speed. You mentioned the competitive drive. I mean, him at the opening regional in Los Angeles. I mean, I've sent that tape to so many different college contacts, and they're like, you really think Dante Wright's that good? I'm like, yeah, watch him swallow up all these wide receivers here. So
and he hasn't missed a camp or a showcase, right? And this is a new era.
Yeah, and you bring that up, and it's like, all right, you think about some of these guys that are going to be names in the 2027 NFL draft, and it's like, dude, I remember Ellis Robinson and Jeremiah Smith battling it out. Like, yeah, those ones, not only is it rare for them to do it, but the guys that do it are the ones that usually pan out. So I kind of like that little thought process you got there. I mean, other guys in Miami's class I like. Nick Lanier, I mean, he is 6 points off the bus. Big play Nick. I know they call him no cut Nick. And it's been funny, and talking to some of these quarterbacks here, they've thrown to a lot of these wide receivers, and that's a name that always comes up is Nick Lanier. And then I really like what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball, which isn't surprising. Corey Heatherman, I mean, Miami just had 2 pass rushers go in the first round of the NFL draft, but you look at A.J. Randall, the linebacker out of North Carolina that they just landed. He's the fastest, I think, second-level defender in the country. Just what he's able to do, what he did on the track this season, that was a huge win for them. Javon Dawson, he's a 3-star prospect, local kid. He reminds me a little bit of Quay Walker in terms of what he's able to do. So, Miami, they have it humming. And I think what's unique about them, given this most recent college football playoff run, is now they have the ability to have a seat at the table with any of these blue chippers. Now they can choose which ones fit the program the best. And I think Miami's kind of self-editing a little bit, trying to figure out, all right, which guys do we want to go on, because we want to get the right individuals in the building. And then so far it looks like they're doing a really good job.
Quick little recruiting nugget. Eli Woodard, also on an official visit out to Miami this weekend, arrived on campus last night. And this is a player who just recently decommitted from USC. We talked about Dante Wright flipping from Georgia. We could very much see this being a delayed flip I would not be surprised at all if Eli Woodard, the 4-star wide receiver from Chaparral, who has his quarterback here, Dane Weber, probably in his ear a little bit about recruiting him to California to play for the Golden Bears. But right now, you have to really like the Hurricanes in that battle for the top 24/7 prospect, especially considering that that's the reason why he backed off that commitment to USC.
Speaking of flips, what if Miami is able to pull off a huge flip with the #1 overall player in the country, 5-star edge rusher DJ Jacobs, currently committed to Ohio State? But I mean, I did his announcement on the CBS Sports College Football YouTube channel. Up until about 5 minutes prior to the announcement, he had not made a decision. He calls Ryan Day, makes the commitment, and tells them he's coming. But that one was back and forth. Miami is still full throttle. There is a ton of confidence in the building in Coral Gables. They believe he's going to eventually end up in a Hurricane. So big one there. They got top 100 linebacker Caden Henderson. He was on an official there. Eli Woodard, you mentioned. They're all over edge rusher. Jaden Bryant is committed to LSU. So, like, the class is loaded. But, man, they still got some meat on the bone.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm an edge rusher, a pass rusher, like, why do you not want to go to Miami with Jason Taylor there? You just saw what he did with Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain. I mean, yeah, and Tom, I've heard some of that DJ Jacobs smoke as well, and if I'm hearing it, like, there's probably something to it.
You may be in the scouting lane, but man, you do get a lot of intel, man. People talk to you way too openly, man. It's pretty funny.
From an intel standpoint, I think it's really interesting to see what the effects are going to be of them making that run to the national championship game, right? Like, we always think about the byproduct and the effect and what led to this from a recruiting standpoint. Like, Mario Cristobal left Oregon to go there and build this program up. He has done it now. He's gotten them to where they are now, and now they're recruiting at a different level. Like, it's a different echelon, and now I want to say they're drafting guys now. Yeah. They could hand select a recruiting class.
Well said, yeah.
Well, I mean, they're out here in California, and I know Miami's done that in the past, and I know so much has changed in terms of the geography, but I mean, the fact that Miami has the confidence to walk into LA and flip a kid from Long Beach Poly, and they can, right?
Yeah. And they can do that with a player who's been committed to Georgia for a year.
Yeah.
A player who's been committed to USC since early in the year, and they're I think they're operating on an entirely different scale now.
I want to move on down the list a little bit. I want to focus on top 247 quarterback Kavian Bryant, Texas Tech commit. He's one that I am really, really excited to see throw it around. Obviously, this is not the necessarily perfect setting for a kid with his type of athleticism, but it's going to be a really good opportunity to see him throw it around.
Oh, yeah, he's the best athlete when it comes to these 20 finalists, right? I mean, he's a guy that was playing on the EYBL circuit here last weekend with, 5-star basketball players, Maxwell Hillard's brother, Colton Hillard there, and he averaged 18 points and 4.2 assists per game. So he can do it on the hardwood. He's also a long jumper. And he's going to be a 4-year starter there in the Lone Star State. And I think from a playmaker perspective, right, he is maybe the best in this 2027 class. I've said this in the past. There's some Kyler Murray to his game in terms of what he's able to do with his legs. There's some Cam Ward to his pocket confidence and how he makes decisions and how he will toy with defenses. I still think it needs to all kind of come together, but he's ran for more yards than any other quarterback here. He's also passed for a ton of touchdowns. I mean, he can gash defenses with his arm and with his legs. I think for Texas Tech, man, you want to talk about a program that's like kind of got my attention. Obviously, they broke through and made the college football playoff this year, but what they have done in the transfer portals now spilling over to what they're doing in the high school ranks. Tom, I know you can kind of speak more on that, but man, Kavian Bryant, they got a guy that's going to allow them to go.
I think what's interesting about a setting like this is that maybe you would quantify a quarterback competition as kind of a stationary drill thing, but it's not, right? We see a lot of good footwork. We see a lot of different drills that we're able to kind of gauge the athleticism. I remember last year seeing Dia Bell go through a drill, and I'm just like, man, this is the best footwork in the country, right? Yeah. And I think that's what I'm excited to see the most about Kavian Bryant. Like, where is he in that athletic mixture of being a really good quarterback and then being a really good athlete?
What's maybe the biggest area you're going to be focusing on? Is it just pure passing? Is it footwork when you're watching Kavian Bryant?
Yeah, I just think the accuracy,
Okay.
Can he consistently hit his marks, right? Can we kind of take the peaks and the valleys and kind of, drift them a little bit together. I mean, again, I think when the bullets are flying, he's kind of one of these guys you want in the huddle. And, the other thing with him is interested to see how much of the playbook he has picked up. Because, again, he was busy playing basketball. I think he's more of an artist. He creates instead of kind of stays on schedule. And we'll see how that kind of matches up here in this setting where it's a lot of structured and you got to do what they want to do when they want you to do it.
It's pretty dialed in approach, but I think he's going to have a really good 3 days. And I don't think it's going to be like a fish out of water situation. I mean,
no,
not
at
no,
all.
I know that's not
at
what you're
all.
saying. He's a guy you bet on. There's so much to like there, but I think that like Friday nights is where he really, really shines. But as a whole, 20th ranked class right now, headed to Texas Tech, 9 commits.
And
headliner, 5-star defensive lineman Jalen Brewster. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the highest ranked recruiting class of all time they signed. They finished, I think, 19th last year. 18th is the highest finish. Sarad Baker, the running back commit, we saw him last weekend at the opening regional there in Dallas. Holy smokes, guys. Texas Tech has got one on the way. Obviously, Jalen Brewster, the number 1 ranked defensive lineman, is a part of that group. Now they're going to have to hold on to him, but they have it rolling there. And I think what's smart by them is like they're going after the premium positions. Anthony Sweeney, I just mentioned Jalen Brewster, like they know where to use the dollar signs when it comes to high schoolers because those positions are the ones that are hard to get in the transfer portal.
That was a huge pickup with Anthony Sweeney because talking to people around him, he was not really considering Texas Tech that closely. There was a ton of smoke and buzz around LSU. I think early on Ohio State had some buzz, and then all of a sudden Texas Tech it's almost like, hey, we want him, we're going to go get him. It's just that simple. But one more I wanted to ask you about was Benny Easter Jr. We saw him in Dallas at the opening regional. Didn't really know what to expect. I've never seen him before, but he's in the top 100 prospect. I was impressed.
Yeah, I thought he was maybe more of a passenger in that setting. Was kind of hoping for a little bit more. I think with Benny Easter, I mean, he is 6 foot, 200 pounds, and he can roll, right? He can get it out of the gates. More of a vertical threat. I think for him, where the improvement needs to be, he hasn't ran a full route tree, and he needs some technical development there. We love him on tape, love him what he does as a return man. One where we're really excited to see what that senior season looks like. But hey, if you're Kavion Bryant, like, man, and we're talking about 1-2 punches nationally, Texas Tech has one of the top ones.
He got hot throughout the day. What's Texas Tech's the perception around them on the West Coast? I mean, I know they don't go out there a ton, but what's the perception when you're talking to kids out there?
I think the relationships is something that really stands out, and it goes beyond just the dollar signs, right? I think everyone understands that Tech is going to compete financially, and they're going to be able to be in a lot of different
They've made that
conversations.
quite clear.
And
Yeah.
but then you see Coach McGuire do what he's doing in press conferences, and he's not backing down. And I think he knows that, hey, this stuff is going to spread like wildfire, and it's going to only elevate the Texas Tech brand. And I think recruits from all over the country are now paying attention, and they're all noticing that. And a player, Montre Jackson, who's on our list here.
Yep.
We were talking to Mike Roach earlier. He says it's probably a Texas lean right now, but like, I don't know. It's a toss-up, right? When Texas Tech is involved, you never count them out. There's a few players actually a couple weeks ago in the state of Utah that I was talking to, and they're like, yeah, the relationships there are just incredible. They're making inroads in Las Vegas at Bishop Gorman. Every player there seems to be mentioning them. Players in Southern California and Arizona and the Bay Area, out in Hawaii, they're mentioning Texas Tech. So I think now it's become a national brand. And if they continue to dominate the Big 12, right, beating the Utahs and the BYUs and now kind of a national conference that is spread out so much, there's no place, no pocket in the country that Texas Tech can't go into.
Outstanding at scouting and evaluating players and talent early. I think Texas Tech, McGuire, Joe McGuire, James Blanchard, they do a phenomenal job there in Lubbock. So a really bright future at Texas Tech. But now we're going to bring on the future of, at least as of right now, the future of LSU football, Peyton Pop Houston. Cannot say enough good things about that regional we were at. I'm still a little bummed that he's going to be on Team Ivans, but
yeah, I think for me, right, we talk about, hey, Peyton Houston isn't the tallest guy. I think he knows that, but he's got the best shuttle time in the class, 4.06, rolled on his 40-yard dash as well. So the athleticism is certainly there.
Peyton Houston goes by Pop, the future of LSU football. How's it going?
It's going good. How are y'all?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. So I was telling him, it's why I think it's one of the best weeks of the year. Love it from an evaluation standpoint. That's all great recruiting scoop. But I think just kind of hanging out with you guys for a couple of days is always fun. We get to know so much about you and spend some time with you. But that's for us. But like for you, what are you going to try to take away from this couple of days in California?
No, yeah, just learn as much as possible. Soak in the knowledge that you get from the quarterbacks coming back that's been through the event, the coaches here, just being able to be coachable and take back some of the things they teach you here. And it's just another opportunity to compete against some of the best quarterbacks and display the talents God has blessed us with.
You talk to anybody ahead of this and be like, hey, what is there to expect? I know you did the regional. You absolutely tore up the New Orleans regional, so you went through all of that stuff. But did you talk to anybody about the finals, what you're going to do to do the conversation with Yogi Roth, getting around Matt James again, the Nike people, everything like that? Anybody you leaned on to kind of see how it's going to play out this week?
Yeah, to be honest with you, just old film all the way dating back to when Jameis Winston was out here, just watching how they conducted themselves and what they did. So I'm working off of old film.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like a guy that's kind of been like studying the Elite 11 since the young days. How long have you been like training for this type of moment? I mean,
since I've been training for this since the regional, a month before the regional. So it's been a long time at it, and now I'm excited I get a chance to display what the work has done.
What is Lane Kiffin like?
Lane Kiffin's different, for sure. He has a lot of energy. Definitely a social media troll. But you get around him, he's a cool guy to be around. Definitely a coach I want to play for sure. And just every time I go down there, the more and more you communicate with him, the more and more see the type of person he is, the type of coach he is. And as a quarterback, it's the coach you want to play for.
Brian Kelly leaves, some staff turnover. Lane Kiffin comes in. What was maybe we'll call it that week or that couple days as you were kind of transitioning, finding out the new coach? Like, what was going on in your head and your mind, and just kind of how did it all play out?
Yeah, I had complete peace in the moment. Just knowing that the decision I made was God felt. God had sent me what decision I needed to make. So when they came, it was just complete peace in the situation. And you go down there, you hear the conversations down there. There's definitely love there. Ole Miss was my first offer in I think 7th, 8th grade. So having them come to LSU was a blessing.
How locked in are you with LSU? I mean, I know there's schools out there that still need quarterbacks. I know Ohio State's still recruiting. Georgia's still looking for somebody. USC was essentially, I believe, your runner-up when you picked LSU. Are you going to sign with LSU when December gets here?
That's the plan. Keep trusting God's plan, and we'll see what God has for me in the future.
Are you communicating with any schools? Anybody still reaching out, blowing you up, and getting random area codes?
Yeah, I was going to say, you still have the schools that continue to recruit you and talk to you, keeping a relationship strong, because today's head coach can be tomorrow's new head coach. So just knowing that relationships matter. Don't want to burn bridges there, but I am still locked in with LSU.
Trey Taylor made it pretty clear. I think the only thing that gets him to leave Nebraska would be a head coaching change. Is that kind of the same with you, or where's it at with you in the process?
I don't know. I feel like my decision was a little bit different. Everybody's process is a little bit different. Just knowing that my decision to go to LSU wasn't because of a coaching staff. It was the things that LSU brings for the player and the athlete. So that and just – again, I keep saying it, kind of repetitive, but the prayer I put into it, I trust God in everything I do. God's the reason I'm here right now at the Elite 11 Finals. So having that opportunity, just knowing that God put me in this situation, I trust His plan.
You've seen a lot of these quarterbacks over the years, right? Various events. I'm sure you've maybe even watched some of them on tape. I think you have an idea of the size of the field. How do you win MVP here?
Honestly, the only way you can win MVP is not getting outside of yourself, just being constrained and knowing who you are and confident in who you are. You'll be able to perform to the best of your abilities.
At that regional, we saw you play some 7-on-7. You're not a guy that's done on like the off season much 7-on-7 work outside of I think with your school. So like, how are you preparing for that element of the competition?
Yeah, shout out to my team, Evangel Christian. Those guys had a week off, and they still came up to help me out with this event, doing 7-on-7 when they could have been at home chilling on the game. They showed love and came out to me and supported and helped me out with the 7-on-7 part.
turning from recruit to recruiter. Obviously, you're locked in with LSU. You landed the big one. You landed Ahmad Hudson. That was obviously extremely important for you. You have 5 commits in the class. Are there any top targets out there that you would kind of call out and say, hey, come join me in Baton Rouge?
No, yeah. Let's call out Easton Royal. I know he's committed to Texas, but got to get him flipped. The best in the boot, stay in the boot. Julius Jones, Osani Gales, Xavier Sapp, those guys got a good relationship with them. Just hoping they could understand that LSU is the place for them. Lineman wise, got to get Albert Simeon there and figure out some more guys that I want to play with for sure.
I love how active you are on Twitter. Like, it's that you show your personality. It's like I could write a story and I tag somebody and all of a sudden you like tag him, make sure he sees it on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? Like, obviously guys can commit and be quiet and just do their own thing and focus on, the business aspect, but you are absolutely the face of LSU's class and you are recruiting. Where does all that come from?
They always say dudes want to play with dudes. The best in the country want to play with the best, but at the same time, good people want to be around good people. So just allowing the recruits and the players to understand my character and see the type of person I am is huge in this recruitment process, because being around good people can only make the program better.
Did you happen to catch our draft?
I did.
I didn't take you number 1.
I saw.
But did you understood like the mentality of what I was trying to do? I was trying to get you and Trey at the same time. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any thoughts of me.
It's all good. It's all good. I saw
How
it.
does that doesn't make any sense.
Just crushes me.
So-
I had a great thought. I tried to take one. I knew you were a Trey guy and a Peyton guy. I'm like, maybe you don't take Peyton. So I was trying to see if I could get it at 1 and 4. It didn't work out, dude. Not happy about it. You were unbelievable in New Orleans, man.
Thank you.
Best regional I've seen. Best performance from regional that I've seen all circuit. Really impressive, man. And LSU's getting a good one. Really excited about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, really
Thank
impressive. Peyton, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good to go. Wow. Yeah, good stuff. So I'm a disappointed. Yeah, you're good. I'm a disappointed GM.
I think you
Thoughts?
overthought this.
I did. We'll see how it plays out. I'm totally not thinking about it either.
Yeah. No. Again,
yeah.
Peyton, I think one of the best pure passers here
100%.
in terms of the art talent, compact, explosive release. The player comp I have for him on his profile, Dylan Gabriel. I know Dylan's a lefty, Peyton's
That's okay.
on the right side, but just another guy that maybe isn't the biggest. I think Trinidad Chambliss works as well, and what he was able to do last year in Lane Kiffin's offense there at Ole Miss.
We say it a lot. The ball just explodes out of this dude's hands.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch, man. Really impressive kid. And I
Right.
love who he. Go ahead.
Did you know this? Like, as I sat down and kind of started prep for this, LSU hasn't had a ton of quarterbacks at the Elite 11 finals over the years. Colin Hurley a few years ago. I think Walker Howard was one of them. Never had a quarterback commit win Elite 11 MVP. And as we've said, we probably put Peyton as one of these front runners.
I like with Lane being there. If he stays there long, I think that's going to change. I like the way he recruits, and he has been so incredibly active, and him and his staff when it comes to Peyton Houston. Obviously, it was. I think did he say Ole Miss was his first offer? He's made him a priority since day one, so that relationship is there. I know Ohio State has been behind the scenes doing all they can to recruit him. USC was gutted when he picked LSU because he was the only priority for them this cycle. So, I mean, impressive talent, impressive kid, really good play. I do want to ask you something about his tape from your perspective. I do remember talking and seeing that, like, he takes his snap real deep.
Yeah.
Like, what's your takeaway from that? And just kind of for the casual fan that watches something like that.
Well, it's unique. I mean, yeah, I think he's almost 11 yards behind the ball. And then he's a kid. There's a few of these quarterbacks that we got at the postseason All-Star game. So he was in the Under Armour All-American game. I thought when gameplay happened, maybe took him a little bit while to get adjusted to that live rush. And, that's where the height kind of shows up. So certainly a unique situation, but hey, LSU, they recruit that offensive line position well under they're going to do it under Lane Kiffin. So certainly one notable. It's unique.
You're good. Yeah. Now we're going to talk to Brady Edmonds, the Ohio State commit, 4-star quarterback, outstanding at the Los Angeles Regional here. So excited to have you here at the Elite 11 Finals. Brady, welcome. How's it feel, man? You earned it. You had a terrific performance, like I said, in Los Angeles. How's it feel to be at the Elite 11 finals?
Feels good. I went to the 8th grade, youth camp too.
Okay.
So went to all the regionals. My head coach works with the Elite 11. So, it's finally exciting to finally get here.
Any big things you're trying to take away over these next 3 days? You're going to do a bunch of things, the competitive aspect, 7-on-7, pro day, the brotherhood. What are you looking forward to out of this one?
Yeah, definitely, you got 19 other guys that are going through the same thing as you. So, just building those relationships, getting better, and then, ultimately competing and proving that, you belong with the best and you're the best quarterback in the nation.
Your deep ball, I think it's one of your best tools. And it's funny, we were talking with some different decision makers around the country at colleges earlier, and they say the arm talent is there. So Brady Edmonds, what is your superpower?
I think my accuracy, my arm strength. I think definitely just the arm itself is. I think it's unique, and I don't think a lot of people can. I feel like I can go throw for throw with anybody in the country. Whether that's in the NFL, like I've thrown with 3 QB. Big shout out to those guys. That's who I train with. I've thrown with big time college level guys, big time pro level guys in the country, and I think I can go throw for throw with anybody.
Your arm is ridiculous. The velocity, I think you may throw it further, stronger and harder than anybody here. You put that very much on display in LA. But what about on the flip side? What are some of the critics say about you? What are some areas you feel like you need to work on over the next 12 months? And I get it, like everybody's got to get better. As good as anybody. That's the focus. But what are you working on?
Yeah, I think, just being a 6'5", 230, whatever pound guy, people will automatically knock my athleticism. And I think, that's one thing maybe I struggled with in the last year. But, my freshman and sophomore year when I was playing basketball, I felt good. I felt great. Last year wasn't so healthy. I think I got a lot more healthy now. I dropped about 10 pounds too, so I'm feeling great, going into this. But I think that's one thing people knock from me, but I think that's one people, they might take for granted. And I think that I do have the athleticism and I can do whatever, I can go up in 360 and dunk and whatever, this and that. So, that's the biggest knock. And then the touch ball, people kind of, have me at fault just because can rip the ball. But I think I can, again, I can go throw for throw anybody in the country, whether that's the touch ball, whatever,
Agreed.
Ohio State, you've been committed there for such a long time. Why the Buckeyes? And I'm assuming that the wide receivers they usually have played a big factor in that.
Yeah, definitely. I think not even just the wide receivers, but every single position on the field, whether that's offense, defense, or whatever. Obviously you can go in practice and go against dudes like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese and this and that. Keep going down a list, or you can go on the offensive side. And, you're throwing a Jeremiah Smith, Bo Jackson. It's just. You got infinite amount of dudes everywhere. So, I think that's a big aspect of it. And then they're there for a reason. They're there because they have the best coaches in the country. Coach Day, Coach Fessler, everybody installed in the quarterback room. And then ultimately, other positions as well. You're held at a high level.
I wouldn't say your recruitment's completely shut down yet. You've been talking to some schools. UCLA was a notable one. I think you took 1 or 2 trips already this spring. Where do things stand with the Bruins at this point?
I have a great relationship with that staff too, and they're in my backyard. I can go 45 minutes down the street and go visit UCLA whenever I want to. So that's just where it's at. Ultimately where college football is as of now, and so many rules that are still being installed and this and that. I just have to protect myself. So ultimately, yes, I do keep a relationship with UCLA. Other schools have reached out. Coach Chip Kelly, who I'm obviously really close with when I committed, he was there. Illinois, Arkansas, schools like that. But ultimately, I'm so deep in my recruitment now that I don't really want to waste anybody's time, and I'll be frank with them. I think Ohio State's where I want to be as of now, but there's so much that can happen from now until December when I sign papers. So I'm not closing the door on anybody.
What's your official visit plan? Do you plan on seeing a couple schools, anything locked in or in the works? And then also, have you informed Ohio State you plan on taking a couple trips?
Yeah, no, we've talked about that for sure, and they're obviously. They're fine with it, especially where they're going with the 2-quarterback world, which I have no problem with whatsoever, and that does not go into my decision whether I go on other visits or not. Right. But, Ohio State's locked in, obviously. Whether I go somewhere else, that's still up in the air. I don't really know as of now, but it could probably be figured out soon.
Okay, so UCLA, Arkansas, Illinois, a couple others. Okay, I like it. And then you are committed, so I know you've been pretty active, and I still see you recruiting guys, bringing you to the Buckeyes. So if you were calling your shot, if they're watching at home, who are some targets that you're kind of working on? Anybody in particular?
Brock Williams was tough. That's one of my good friends. So losing that one was tough. I think the writing was on the walls for a little bit now, but I didn't want to believe it.
That one shocks me too. I thought Ohio State for a very long time had that one just about done.
It was Ohio State, Georgia for a very long time, and then Texas kind of jumped in late and got him. But so that one was tough. shoot, there's a lot. I don't know. But luckily, Ohio State, I think we're almost being a little picky this year with which they're bringing, because they had a huge 26 class, kind of like what USC is doing. So, I mean, obviously the receiver, you only got one receiver commit right now, so that's a big one. Shoot, what's his
You got Monch, Eric McFarland,
Indiana
Monch Sales.
yeah.
Well, it's good, man. I see you on Twitter all the time. That's the only reason I brought it up, because everybody wants to say this and that about our schools.
Another one too.
Oh yeah, there you go. Another California guy. Yep.
I think we got a good shot at, but yeah.
No, that's good, man. You got anything else?
No, I'm just excited to see you here over these next few days, right?
Yep.
And then kind of move on.
I heard a couple guys.
recruitment.
I heard a couple guys talking about you earlier, like some of the recruits. They were talking about like, oh, I want to see your arm and things like that. So we've been raving about it for a long time. So excited to see you work, man. Appreciate it as always,
Yes,
and
sir.
good
Thank
luck
you,
with the
guys.
rest of your process, man. Appreciate it.
You guys. Have a good one.
All right, Brady Edmonds committed to Ohio State. Obviously, some schools making a run. Blair Angulo has been all over that one. I didn't expect the Arkansas. I knew Illinois was making a move there. UCLA has been the one that's been talked about for a very long time. So
Illinois, I mean, that kind of like the idea of that if he were to go that route, but someone's going to be getting a quarterback that has a ton of experience, Tom, right? I mean, it's tracking to be a 4-year starter there, tons of games. We mentioned that arm strength, his ability to drive it around the yard, some of the best in the class. I think it's going to show up instantly here, potentially night 1 with the workouts, and we could see it night 2 as well. Player comp for me kind of reminds me a little bit of Tyler Van Dyke, who was at Miami, obviously transferred into Wisconsin. Rail injury kind of derailed his career, but I think there's a lot of similarities there. And let's not forget, Tyler Van Dyke, after that sophomore season at Miami, a lot of mock drafts had him very high.
I'm excited to see this kid, man. I think Brady's gonna have a really strong week. I liked him in LA. He obviously got his invite there, but he's a coveted quarterback across the country, and it doesn't surprise me that so many schools are making a run at him. Colton, you want to come over? Yeah. All right, we got Colton Nussmeier here, top 247 quarterback. Says the Elite 11 is no strange thing for you. I know you're ready for this moment. We just saw you at the opening regional in Dallas. Thought you had a strong day. I think you were at his regional earlier this year. So just being here at the finals, man, I know this has got to be an exciting opportunity for you. So how does it feel just kind of be here a couple days among the 20 best quarterbacks in America?
Yeah, I mean, it's honored, get out here, compete with 20 of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and just get out here and compete. Yeah.
Any big takeaways you're trying to accomplish, or anything you're trying to learn in particular these next couple of days?
I don't know a lot of kids here. I've heard of them all, but I think it's gonna be great to get to build a bond with them and build relationships with them. And then obviously getting out here and getting a chance to try to win this thing. So
I think I asked you this on Sunday in Dallas, but his older brother giving you any tips? I mean, he's a former Elite 11 finalist.
I've talked to him a little bit, but at the end of the day, I want to be my own experience and want to have it for myself. So yes, sir.
I mean, obviously, everybody's curious where Colton Nussmeier is going to end up. Obviously, you don't have an official finalist list. I don't think you've ever put anything out, but everybody's looking at Georgia, Arkansas, UCLA. Not to speak for you, who are some of the top contenders for you at this point?
Yeah, Georgia has been with me the whole time, basically, through my whole recruitment. Arkansas, obviously the new staff when they came in from Memphis have been recruiting me pretty hard. And then UCLA recently just hopped on, and, those three are probably the main that are recruiting me hard. I'm still open, you never know what could happen, but yeah.
UCLA is pretty close to here. We popped by there yesterday. Any plans of getting on campus?
Actually, I'm going to go there Sunday after we're done with this. So,
all right.
Yes, sir.
Timely. What are you looking forward to seeing? Is that going to be an official visit?
No, just be
unofficial.
Just unofficial.
What are you looking forward to checking out? And will that be your first time on campus?
It will. It'll be first time. My dad was at the Chargers, so I've been here at LA only like 2 times though, so I haven't really got to see the place much. But it'll be a good chance to just see everything around UCLA and see if it'll be a contender.
What really sticks out about Georgia? I know you said they've been around for a long time early in your recruitment, but what really stands out about the Bulldogs?
Yeah, just Georgia football. Their whole staff. I love their staff. Coach Bobo, Coach Streeter, and then Coach Smart. They've done a great job recruiting me, and I really like them. So.
Ryan Silverfield makes his way over to Arkansas. New staff, new vibes there in Fayetteville. What sticks out about the Razorbacks?
Yeah, I love their new staff. I went up there for a practice early spring to see what it was, and I think they have a good chance of turning that around and getting that program going again.
Unofficial to UCLA. What's the official visit schedule? Anything lined up and locked in right now?
Yeah, I have the 5th Arkansas right now, and then the 12th Georgia, and then UCLA could potentially be official setup. So
is it fair to say that's the top three, final three, or are you still really open to
I
like
mean,
if anybody calls?
I'm still open if anyone calls, but those are the three right now that are, up there. Just because, if anyone calls, you never know. So,
Is there anybody that's kind of been kind of flirting with you and kind of showing some interest, but hasn't really gone all in to make a push for you that you feel like could be close?
not really. Obviously, it's kind of late. It's been most quarterbacks are committed in my class right now, and for me, it's just got to make sure where I want to go is the right spot for me. So,
as you're at home and you're on Twitter or you're on Instagram or something, or even just text, like, do you have top prospects in the country reaching out to you, trying to recruit you to their particular school? Anybody been kind of relentless with you?
the main schools probably those three. A couple, UCLA and Arkansas. Some kids reach out, Georgia. So, yeah.
Okay.
You've changed high schools.
I did. Yes, sir.
I think a big senior year upcoming for you, right? Missed the tail end of the junior year with a knee injury.
Yeah.
What are you looking to improve on? What do you want to show out here in Los Angeles?
I'm just gonna be me. Go show my talent, what I can do, and just put on a show.
I feel like the strength of your game is working off of play action. There's a lot of play action looks, right?
It's yeah. We did. We under center. I've done under center a good amount, so good action and all that. So, but I'm pretty versatile. So.
And then obviously you mentioned your dad being with the Chargers, now with the New Orleans Saints. How much does he kind of, I don't know, get on the whiteboard with you, or is it more so you just have been around this since you were a young kid?
Yeah, whenever I have a question, they're there. My dad and my brother. Ever since I've grown up, any question I have, it's in my household, one text, one call away. So it's been great, just get that experience and see from different perspectives as an NFL coach, what he thinks, and he tells me the truth always. So I always can improve.
That's it for me, man. We're excited to see you throw. Obviously, we just saw you this past weekend, but looking forward to it. 3 big schools in play. Excited to see where you're headed.
Yes, sir.
All right, Colton. Appreciate
you. Thank you.
All right, Colton Nussmeier. I'm very curious to see how this trip to UCLA goes. UCLA could use a quarterback, Blair.
Yeah, it especially in the post Nico Iamaleava era, right? And I think no better time than now for Bob Chesney and that staff to get a quarterback, considering that they're starting fresh and they're rebuilding that roster. And it was a tough loss, I think, for them this week to lose Dane Weber, who they identified as their number one target as soon as they arrived on campus. They have pivoted. I think they kind of felt that this was happening, for a while, and they did extend that offer to Colton Nussmeier a couple weeks ago. They've been kicking the tires on Brady Edmonds, who has been on campus a couple of times already. And there is, I think a possibility of an official visit being in play right now for the Bruins. So I think they're identifying the fact that they do need a quarterback in this class. Now, they're not going to stress over it and maybe reach for someone. If it's not one of these two, I'm not sure that they get one. And then they just address that via the transfer portal, which, is always a nice little wrinkle in the recruiting process now. But I think it speaks volumes to the fact that they have identified and targeted some guys.
I think you hit it completely on the head there. I think it's going to be one of these two. Maybe if somebody completely comes out of nowhere as a senior, but they got a legitimate chance at 2 Elite 11 finalists. So it's a pretty good spot to be right now for Bob Chesney. So I want to go back to the board. You talked to this guy earlier, Keegan Croucher. I don't know if this was your first exposure to him or not. 4-star quarterback headed to Ole Miss. Me and Hudson saw him in Atlanta. We are impressed. He transferred to the Baylor School. Really excited to see what he does there, surrounded by some of the top players in the country. But just kind of what were your initial impressions of Keegan Croucher, just kind of talking to him for a few minutes?
Yeah, well, I confirm he's the youngest finalist here. And I joked with him, your profile, you're a kid that was up in Connecticut. You're originally from New York. Now you're going to be at the Baylor School. Normally that screams red birthday for us, and he's got a green birthday. He's 17, just turned 17, so he's on the younger side, and he's one where, it's an evaluation process, Tom, right? It isn't just, hey, you see him one time and that's the grade, and you kind of move on. Last year we had Keegan at the Under Armour's Future 50. He was not good. He even admitted it. He said, he was messing around with liquid chalk on his hands. It was very hot and sweaty. But what he was able to do as a junior, that regional. I mean, this is a guy where the arrow is clearly pointing up, and he's a towering pocket passer. And he can make a lot of throws. He's a multi-sport guy. Not one that's going to offer a ton as a runner, but I think he's got a chance to be a high volume passer. And Joe Judge is who he's committed to at Ole Miss. We're kind of joking around that. I mean, a guy that's originally from the New York area, he didn't know. He was like, "Is that Joe Judge now at Ole Miss?" So he seems to be very excited with the fit there, and I think he's one of these guys that wants to kind of see how he stacks up compared to some of these other finalists. I mean, he brought up Peyton Houston. That's a name that he knew. So, I think a big 3 days for him as well.
He's going to be part of a two-man quarterback class right now. Cruz Jenkins, another kid. They're going to play each other in the first game of the season, both Tennessee natives now. Blair, just overall thoughts on again, we talked about it with Seaborn and Elijah Haven, headed to Alabama, two-man class. What do you think it says about Keegan Croucher, Cruz Jenkins, just kind of going and being like, look, I got to compete with guys no matter what. I don't really care if it's in my own class.
I do think that there is something to be taken away from a player knowing that, hey, I'm not the only guy, and I'm going to have to go in there and not only earn my spot, compete for my spot, and figure out a way to make this work. Now, there's a way to correct that now with the portal, and you could go and then maybe you lose both of them. But I think from a collegiate standpoint, it's super important for these programs, for these recruiting staffs to cast a wide net and to get some developmental guys in your room, in your system. You're able to, in a way, kind of have some continuity. I think Keegan Croucher is one that I'm really intrigued to see. I was talking to a couple guys earlier about the Marine layer that we see at the Elite 11 finals every year here by the coast in the Pacific Ocean. And the ball doesn't travel as easily as it would during the day. And so a guy like him, I'm excited to see how he's ripping it, how he's able to kind of pierce the wind, because I think he's got some of the best arm talent in this group.
He was impressive in Atlanta. I believe he was our alpha dog at that regional, but 10 commits in this class for Ole Miss, 24th ranked class as a whole. A couple guys that I want to single out in terms of targets. I think they got a very real shot to keep Caden Moss at home, top 247 offensive lineman. They're kind of a sneaky sleeper for five-star running back David Gabriel Georges, his teammate now at Baylor. Top 247 wide receiver Alvin Mosley, and then top 247 defensive lineman Marvin Unstop. Thank you for the pronunciation on that one. But again, a lot to like there. But what kind of jumps out at you from this class right now headed to Oxford?
I love two of the DBs they have committed, Talion Mayo, Daryl Madison. I think those guys are long, they're wiry. And you think about Pete Golding's defense, he's going to have those boys revved up in the front seven. They're going to pin their ears back and go get the quarterback. So you want some long DBs that can go get the football. I think Mayo and Madison allow for that. So not surprising that Ole Miss is getting it done on the high school front when it comes to the recruiting efforts, because you look at this 2D, this group they have this upcoming season, and it's a lot of guys that got out of high school. Will Eccles, Cam Franklin. I mean, those are guys that they're homegrown individuals. LaDarian Clarity in the secondary. So like all of them.
Really good group, and I think we should. I think it's time to bring on QB1 for 24/7 Sports. Five-star quarterback Elijah Haven, fresh cut, looking sharp. I thought you had a strong performance in New Orleans at the regional, earned the invite here to the Elite 11 finals. You've been on a nice little rocket ship over the last year or so. He ranks you number one in the country. Really fun to see, man. But congrats on being an Elite 11 finalist. And just curious, man, what are you looking to take away out of these next couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, I think just getting to compete with the best. Take away anything I can from these coaches. These coaches are amazing. So just really just building on my craft, focusing on myself, and just competing with the best, having fun with the guys.
Did you do much research heading into this event, or talk to anybody and kind of see what the lay of the land was going to be? What how I can, prep for it? Anything like research you did on this?
Yeah, a little bit. Keelan Russell, who's at Alabama right now, got a chance to kind of talk to him a bit about it.
He was pretty good here.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously, some of my trainers, super good guys, just being able to kind of give me tips, heading into this weekend.
Elijah, last time we saw you was at that regional. You said it was like the first time you had thrown since December, and that's because of basketball, right? You're a guy that I think your school has made 3 straight Final Fours. Yep. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How much training have we done in advance of the nation's premier quarterback competition?
A lot to say the least. I mean, just trying to get as much as I can in has been the priority for me. Obviously, getting back from basketball, but just continue to be more intentional, knowing that Elite 11 was coming up.
What are the areas you're focusing on trying to improve?
Yeah, I think obviously mechanically, just throwing the ball with more authority, more precisely and more accurately, more consistently. That's the biggest thing for me this weekend. It's something I definitely want to put emphasis on.
I've always wanted to ask you this question. We ranked you high, and you had plenty of college options, but it's not like you're someone that had 50 scholarship offers. Nope. Now you're committed to Alabama, to a guy that I think knows a thing or two about the quarterback position. But do you think that's because a lot of people assume you were going to go to LSU? I mean, LSU's right there in your backyard, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think, just being a hometown guy, a lot of people, expect, the guys to stay in the boot. That's the motto. The best in the boot, stay in the boot. But ultimately, throughout my recruiting process, we felt like there were better schools for me and, for my future.
How close was that decision when you were going back and forth between Alabama and Georgia? I know Georgia had some optimism, some hope. Alabama pretty much felt good the entire time. But how close and how stressful was that last couple of weeks for you?
Yeah, definitely. Georgia definitely started to make a big push.
Yeah.
Coach Bobo, Coach Smart, all the guys on the offensive staff definitely started to, put more emphasis. And they did a great job for sure. It definitely made it hard for me and my family at the end. But, ultimately we felt like Bama, was my decision for me.
You're committed to Alabama. And you mentioned Keelan Russell. There's another Alabama commit here in Trent Seaborn, and they took two quarterbacks last year, Jet Tamala, Taden Kava. It seems like you're not afraid of competition. I mean, you look at that room; it is well stocked. So what made you comfortable picking a place where it's going to be hard to get on the field?
Yeah, it ultimately came down to me not being afraid to compete, but also trusting in the coaches. My relationship with them, even through some changes. Throughout the past fall, they were so consistent, and that went a long way for me and my family for sure. But ultimately not being afraid of competition, and being ready to go compete.
They're always he makes this point. He made this point earlier talking about Alabama, but they're very adamant about we want to focus on high school recruiting for the quarterback position. They're not really big on the portal. They're really focusing on high school kids. And has that been expressed to you and as their priority and their focus when it comes to quarterback recruiting, or is that just kind of how the chips fell?
Yeah, they definitely kind of have expressed that they want to stay high school guys. If they have to go in the portal, that's obviously an option. But, their priority is the high school guys. And that's one thing, they made sure me and my family knew. And we definitely took that into consideration.
Alabama not a ton of commits right now. Who are you trying to get to join you there?
Yeah, so some guys on the OV right now, actually. Monchon Sales, as we call him, Bama, up there. Definitely a elite wide receiver. And then also Asani Giles, who's another top elite wide receiver in the class. But definitely, trying to, rally the motto that, Bama's the place to be.
It's a pretty good duo, man. You and Trent would be pretty thrilled if that was the case. Now, we appreciate it as always. Very excited to see you. Really, especially loving the fact that you've been working so hard since basketball season. So we're excited to see you these next couple of days. So appreciate it as always, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. You're good. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You just leave it on the chair. Appreciate it as always. Elijah Haven, the #1 quarterback according to 24/7 Sports. Impressive cat, man.
Eyebrow raising. Okay, we've dialed it in here a little bit. Done some training in anticipation of this event, and night one he's got a chance to make a big statement here, right? We said it's kind of a little wide open. Polling of the finalists. I think the names that continue to come up are Trey Taylor, Peyton Houston as kind of the favorites, but Elijah certainly has the opportunity to come out and make some noise. And as one of these coaches pointed out, anyone who shines early in this competition is going to set themselves up for a prime opportunity to make it to the opening finals, right? Later next month, where they're going to have 2 days more of competition before that MVP crown is is announced.
I think we're all in agreement, and Mike Roach as well, Hudson Stannis. We all talked about this last night. We just want to see Elijah Haven just rip a football, and I think he was playing it a little safe in New Orleans. Again, fresh off a basketball season, like I think 48 hours, so not a big deal. And he was still accurate with the football, but I just want to see the kid just rip it around the yard, kind of throw with a little more intensity and velocity. So excited to see him over the next couple of days.
And we get that opportunity tonight, Tom, with the rail shot.
Heck yeah.
This is always
into it.
one of the better parts of this camp is getting to see that back shoulder that has to be a perfect throw on a frozen rope. And Elijah Haven will have the opportunity. Now, sometimes, you get a guy, it's so anticipated. I can't wait to see what he throws. And it's first elimination, right? It's like a single elimination. You make a bad throw, you're out for the rest of the night. So hopefully we see several from Elijah Haven here.
We've seen him once. This was your first time.
Yep,
Give me your
exactly
impressions, man.
Why. Super impressive kid, right? Like in between the ears, you see he's got it. Athletically, you obviously notice on the tape that he's got it. I think the way he carries himself, right? Like when you've got 20 of the best quarterbacks in the country here doing what they do, and then you notice how one of them carries themselves. There's an alpha among the alphas, right? And I think Elijah Haven definitely has some of those characteristics.
We're gonna get to one more quarterback here in a second, but I do want to touch on another one here. We haven't had a chance to talk to him, but it's a guy you both know well. Camden Lapati, 3-star quarterback, headed to Michigan. That recruitment got pretty close at one point. There was a feeling he was going to end up at Notre Dame. Flips from Illinois, lands at Michigan. But kind of talking about him, what has you? Why should Michigan fans be fired up about this kid?
He was headed to Notre Dame, Tom.
100%.
We had commitment graphics.
Yep.
For the Irish, and the Michigan Wolverines kind of came in from out of nowhere and reeled him in. And this was a staff that had just been recruiting him at Utah, right up the street from Salt Lake City West, his high school. I think the thing I'm most excited about when watching Camden Lapati is if he feels like a perfect fit for that offense. When you think about what they were able to do at Utah, what they're trying to bring over to Ann Arbor inside the big house, he's a big, physical, grueling runner with the ball in his hands. He's not afraid to take shots when he needs to take shots. Now, sometimes it's detrimental. I got to see him in the season opener last year, 3 interceptions in the first quarter, right? And so he's kind of a gunslinger, and that's the cowboy mentality, Andrew. So I think for him, it's about reining that in, making sure he's playing with composure and being more methodical with the shots that he takes downfield. But there's no questioning that he's got the mentality to be a Big Ten quarterback.
Yeah, explosive like lower half. I've said it. I mean, he's kind of built almost like a linebacker, maybe middle infielder. I thought that really showed up in person at the regional, and he's got the dual threat capabilities. And we know Kyle Whittingham, they're going to want to run the quarterbacks there. And he's got the ready to play mass, right? He can power through tacklers. So I like the idea of him in that offense. It's easy to see why that Michigan staff kind of turned and pivoted to him. That's who they wanted to go get. And, I think the deep ball accuracy, you got to improve there, but he's a guy that can hit targets on the move. And, that's what they're going to do out here, right? They don't just ask you to make stationary throws. You got to do a little bit of everything. And Camden Lapati certainly has an opportunity to have a really good week.
And one little recruiting nugget, it looks like another 2 quarterback group for Michigan because they are in the running for Thaddeus Thatcher, 3-star quarterback from Las Vegas, Arborview, who was previously committed to Utah, backed off that commitment when that staff left for Michigan. They offered. It sounds like they want to take 2 quarterbacks in this class as well.
I'm assuming, talking to him, you feel like that's not going to be an issue for him? He's comfortable being in Ann Arbor?
He's comfortable now. Back in the day, I think when Utah was recruiting Camden Lapati in his own backyard, maybe there were, maybe some sour notes there, knowing that they had taken another kid earlier. But I think now everything's been hashed over, and I think he's pretty happy being a Wolverine.
Well, those guys are recruiting their tail off in Ann Arbor. I like what the new staff is doing. They're all over. Top 100 wide receiver Dakota Grant, 3-star tight end Anthony Cartwright. Those two could end up at Michigan together. They could end up at Oregon together. So a lot to like there. Just real quickly before we move on, anybody in this Michigan class kind of stick out to you that's – I think there's an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
extremely high on.
Jakari Lipsey out of the state of Michigan. There's video of that guy doing a back handspring out there. I think huge ceilings. And Kyle Whittingham, that Utah staff, what they were able to do with Spencer Fano.
Caleb Lomu.
Caleb Lomu. I mean, that's certainly one that I get excited about. And, you know, the duo out of Mount Carmel, I thought that was a really big win for them. Quentin Burrell, Tavares Harrington. I mean, even the SEC went into Chicago to look at those guys. So two kind of foundational pieces, I think, for them in this group. And, you know, they're making a run at some of these other guys out there. It seems like we keep hearing more and more names linked to Michigan here as they've kind of found their bearings, that new staff. So a chance for a special group if it all comes together.
And they're also leaning into their ties out west, right? Darius Johnson, who at some point appeared maybe a Washington versus Oregon versus Oklahoma battle. His brother is playing for the Sooners, so maybe they were going to reunite. His dad's a former Washington Husky defensive back who played in the league, and here comes Michigan, right? And coming in and stealing that one at the final hour. They've also been recruiting the state of Utah very heavily. You see a lot of Utah versus BYU versus Michigan battles. And when you think about the top tier of the Big 12, you know, it seems like they're able to sell the Big 10 and really make some inroads out west and lean on some of those connections that they've had forever, right? This was a long-standing staff that was at Utah for well over a decade. The longest tenured head coach, Kyle Whittingham, kind of uproots, and you know, now he's going to be very, very methodical and very you know, strategic with the sort of offers that he puts out west.
Yeah, that move to leave home was still shocking, to be completely honest, but landing at Michigan. But nice get for Ann Arbor, for the Wolverines and everybody in Ann Arbor. But I want to move on. Got another quarterback waiting here. We got top 100 quarterback Israel Izzy Abrams. Izzy, how we doing?
Good, how are y'all?
I'm doing great, man. The future of Miami Hurricanes football, number 2 quarterback in the nation, number 14 overall. You are an Elite 11 finalist, man. Congrats. So how does it feel to be here?
It's a blessing. You know what I mean? First of all, appreciate to everybody that helped me reach this point so far. You know, my family, you know, anybody that's touched my athletic or my life in some way, shape, or form. So just big shout out to everybody there. And, you know, I'm just here to, you know, get straight to it and just work today, you know, and just put my head down and hopefully come up on top.
A self-proclaimed killer. I remember that story I wrote when you were very adamant about the mentality, the approach you take to this game. I love the work ethic. But for you, what are you looking to take away over these next couple of days, other than surely winning MVP and all that good stuff? But what are you looking to take away these next couple of days?
I think I'm looking to, you know, like just understand quarterback on a deeper level, you know, because I think everybody here has a base understanding of how to play quarterback. They wouldn't be here if they didn't, you know what I mean? So I think going even a step deeper and just like getting all the way in tune with everything that the coaches are saying, from footwork to like time the drops, you know, like good timing on the drops, to ball placement, to accuracy, to air on the ball, you know. So just all those things, grasping a little bit from every single person and just taking it. And I think that's what's going to help me win.
Izzy, yeah, you're familiar with a lot of these quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them from Illinois.
Yes.
Who's the big competition here for you if you're going to be MVP?
Yeah. Trey's a baller. Everybody know that. I've been going at it with Trey probably, like, we've been going at it since we were like sixth grade. We've been training together. So we started out young training. We've played 2 varsity football games against each other. We played a lot of 7-on-7. It's been heated in those 7. There's a lot of trash talking. So it's been a lot of trash talking in the football games. So, you know, like, I bet there'll be trash talking out here. That's my boy, though. You know, I'm ready to ball, and I know he ready to ball, too.
See, I've been saying this. I wrote about it like last October. Yeah. There's a rivalry here. You guys played a game. It was 55-54.
I don't know if it's a rivalry.
You guys hang out outside of this stuff?
We do not.
It's a rivalry.
I don't know if it's a rivalry.
There's an
I've won twice.
Oh, so that's why it's not a rivalry.
Okay. I'm sure that's my boy. He got the 7-on-7 100% down packed. He's handed me my butt both times in these 7-on-7 games. So big shout out to him in that. On the football, I don't think it's a rivalry.
Well, you just added some. The next few
Somebody
days is going to be real interesting. Miami, Shannon Dawson, that offensive coordinator there. I think you're the perfect fit in his offense to be a trigger man. You can get ball out fast. You can alter your release points. What led you to the Hurricanes?
Well, like that very person, I think Shannon Dawson, you know, I mean, you all know, well, I don't know if you all know, but I think the number is since 2012 or 2013, he's got 5 quarterbacks they're in the NFL. So he has 5 active quarterbacks in the NFL right now since 2012. And that's both from D3, D2, and Division I programs. So if you can get a quarterback, I'm not putting D3 football down or D2 football down, but I know for a fact if you can get a quarterback into the NFL from a Division III and Division II program, I'm sure he can get one in from Miami. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thought process in that. And then, you know, you all know Coach Cristobal, you know, the like-minded people he recruits, you know, the people that are coming to Miami with us, and you all can see what we're trying to do. We're trying to build we want our team to have an attitude problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we want our team to know, we're going to know who we are, and we're going to be able to out-physical everybody. We're going to be smarter than everybody, and we're just going to outplay everybody.
When you're looking at fits between a coach and a player, especially at the quarterback position, I'm not 100% sure if there's not a better fit between you and Cristobal, like the mentality, the mindset, that killer approach, not just want to beat everybody, but dominate them. Peel back the curtain a little bit to that moment you told Dawson and Cristobal and just everybody in Coral Gables that you wanted to be a Hurricane, kind of set the stage for everybody, because we weren't there, but I would love to know how it all played out.
That's funny. We were eating at the restaurant across the street from Prime 112.
Okay.
I know what that is. It's in South Beach. It's on South Beach. So we were eating at the Italian place right across the street from it, and I gave Coach Cristobal the call, and he was, you know, he was really excited. And then I gave Coach Dawson the call, and he was really excited. And then from there on out, it's been history. You know, it's been great. Like, for real, like the relationship that I've been able to build with those men at Miami already, like, I could tell this is going to be something very special.
Who are some of the quarterbacks you study? Who are you who do you model your game after?
Yeah.
Who are you watching? What do you, when it's not your own tape, who are you trying to pull from?
Well, I love watching Lamar Jackson play, because let me tell you about Lamar. Like, people like look at Lamar and think he's a running quarterback, but that is a very good dual threat pocket passing quarterback. And he has like exceeded expectations from the pocket over these past, I think, 3 or 4 years since his MVP. Like, what was that, 2022 or 2023, 2021? Whenever that was, like, after that, like, he won his first MVP, he like just added a whole nother part to his game, you know what I mean, which is just like pocket passing and like just being able to stay back there. And people always say like, oh, that's a running quarterback. No, that's a passing quarterback that can run the ball, which I think I am. Caleb Williams, that is a passing quarterback. It's been multiple times this season. Caleb Williams got up to 20 miles an hour. You've seen it on TV. Like, that's a passing quarterback that can run the ball. Patrick Mahomes, he's not fast, he's not shifty, but he gets the job done. That's a passing quarterback and run the ball. So those 3 guys, I feel like those are guys that I study.
Man, you seem so confident. Like, you're 24-0 as a starter. I always say that, but like, you just ooze 24-0. Like,
yeah, yes, sir. I mean,
like, you hate to lose.
I do. I can't. I don't want to.
Doesn't know what it's like to
yeah.
lose.
So I mean, until I taste that, I'm gonna keep the same arrogance, some might call it, or I call it confidence. Like really, really strong confidence, because, and it's not even like what's the word I'm looking for? Like I said, it's not being ignorant. Like, it's just being like confident in yourself. Like, yeah, I'm about to go out here and win every game.
Let me ask you this question. I already know the answer. Who's the best quarterback in the class of 2027?
Me. It's coming.
That's why I drafted him. That's why he's on my team. I love it. Fires me up. I got you and Trey and Jake. Just Team Illinois over here.
Trey is right up there too. I'm telling you, Trey is that's that.
Who's number 2? You watched all these guys. Who's number 2?
I think it's between like Trey and Elijah.
Trey and Elijah?
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good.
Okay. Who are you trying to get to join you in Coral Gables?
Ooh.
No Cut Nick's already on the way.
No Cut Nick is already on the way.
Class
my boy Ty
loaded.
Keys, you feel me? For the running back.
Ty Keys we saw him in New Orleans. He was great. Alpha Dog.
We got a couple interior players, you know what I mean, both offense and defensively, that are really good. You know, we got a couple defensive guys. Jalen Jones from
oh yeah. Yep.
Well,
he's down in Miami, right?
Yeah, he's at MacArthur.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we got the cornerback we picked up, Dante.
Oh, Dante, right? Yep.
So you know, we're just
any
piecing
like
this thing
targets
together.
though? Like is there like, have you talked to Eli Woodard? He's up there on his official
Yes,
visit.
I have spoken to Eli Woodard and Quinn
Okay.
Hill.
What's
But-
your pitch when you talk to these guys?
I mean, like, who wouldn't want to come? Like, I'm not even being like, who wouldn't want to come play with Miami? Like, we literally are about to be the most exciting football team to watch, and there's no doubt about it. Like, if everything plays out, I genuinely believe like that's just as good as watching NFL football. Like, that's the next closest thing, like exciting wise and like player wise, and like, oh my gosh, like what a catch! Like, this is I want to go watch them play, Mom. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're gonna have people like just like wanting to come like be a part of something like that.
You are.
Have you watched the documentaries on the U?
I've heard people like start to like, yeah.
That's the Izzy Abrams homework.
Yeah.
You need to
I will
do some research.
I will.
I mean, yeah, you're an impressive dude, man. I've heard nothing but good things. But I also want to ask, like, you are completely locked in with Miami. You have made it very clear that you are putting pen to paper. But there's other schools that still need a quarterback. There's some schools that are looking for a second quarterback. Are you still hearing from anybody? Anybody still trying to hit your line and recruit you? Or have they kind of like?
It's kind of like not really there anymore. Like it was one school that kind of like hit me like before I committed, but like since then there really hasn't been anything jumping.
Who finished number 2 for you?
I'm pretty sure it would have been Auburn.
Okay.
No, I'm not even like
yeah, I remember
like
you pretty high on that.
100% would have been Auburn. Yeah, that was Coach Goldish. That's a real dude. Coach Gordon, like that.
Yeah.
That is a program that is definitely in the makings right now. It's about to come up. So
He might have picked Miami, but Auburn fans,
yes,
you got a believer in Izzy Abrams.
Yes.
Congrats on everything, man. We appreciate it. You're good to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Miami's getting a quiet, just super quiet kid in Izzy Abrams. Yeah, you're good here. Thank you again, man. Thoughts?
Wow, what an interview. Well, Tommy, I mean, you call him the
This fires
future of
me up.
Miami of football. There was a couple other previous Elite 11 finalists that are currently on the roster that you had as the future of Miami
He's
football.
still eventually going to be the future of
Okay.
Miami football, right?
Yeah, very confident individual.
Wow.
And again, it shows up on the game tape. And then I think it's I think I touched on this at the start of the show, right? 2 years ago, Keelan Russell, when he kind of stood up to throw, everyone was looking at Keelan Russell. Last year it was Keyshawn Henderson. I'm using the crystal ball. I think we're going to get that kind of performance here on night one from Izzy Abrams.
I mean, you saw it, you heard it. I don't know if you guys got a chance to talk over there, but any impressions on Izzy
We
Abrams?
just got to keep them away from the cafecito down there in Miami, right? Because the kids got a lot of juice already. His recruiting pitch, I think, is what's really a remarkable thing, right? Like you go and talk to other recruits and say, hey, why not us? Like, we're going to be the next dominant program in college football for the next decade. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of this? Now, that's been a big question mark with Miami is, can they get over the hump? Can they reach the pinnacle? And they have now. So there's a proof of concept for these recruits to sell to other prospects. And I think that's what's remarkable is that a player like Izzy Abrams is able to recognize that and then tell that to other recruits.
That kid is different, man. I mean, I remember talking to him on the phone. I was driving. My wife was in the car. I had the thing on speakerphone. I was recording it. And it was the first time we had a lengthy interview. And I was just like, it was very similar to this reaction. I just we hung up and I'm just like, what was that? It was not like a 17-year-old kid. I was so impressed. It seemed like a kid it wasn't like a media training. It was just a kid that was so real about his confidence. And it wasn't like an arrogance. It was just like,
it's authentic.
I am going to be the best high school football player and then I'm going to do the same thing in college. And then I'm going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. So really impressive. I think that's a great way to end the show. This was fun, guys. Any final thoughts, Andrew Ivins?
Again, I think this is wide open, right? And I think we're going to learn a lot about this class. Some very confident individuals here, a lot of guys with tools, a lot of guys with traits. It's going to be a fun day of competition, but hey, this isn't the end all be all, right? This isn't the sole dictator of our rankings or whatnot. We got the senior seasons coming up. I think there's a lot of guys that have only been, 1 year, 2 year starter. They're going to have an opportunity to, turn heads and really stack days as they get into their senior season. So I love this group. I mean, there's maybe one guy that I wish was here at the Elite 11 finals. That's Gunnar Rivers. And, we knew Gunnar Rivers wasn't going to be here. So competition should be ramped up. And, I want to see what the cream rise to the top.
Day one is always so key, right? We look at the rail shot in other years, and that sets up some of these players for success throughout the weekend. We're able to see who separates the alphas from the alphas because this is all an alpha group. I mean, these are the premier quarterbacks in the land. So a competition like this, we get to see it on night one. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and again, the Elite 11 finals, a lot of people, hey, it's just 3 days of them throwing around. Hey, four of the top 5 quarterbacks drafted in this most recent NFL draft are at the Elite 11 finals. You go look at the Heisman Trophy odds. Guess what? Dante Moore, CJ Carr, Gunnar Stockton. Those guys were all here a few years ago. So, it's the stars of tomorrow, and they're going to be on the showcase here on display over the next few days.
you guys know in our line of work, relationships matter. It's extremely important for me. My big thing is I think we're going to leave this 3-day stretch that like this is one of the best groups we've dealt with in a long time. Really fun group. They're passionate about this game, and it's going to be fun, man. This is going to be a wild ride, a wild couple days, and I'm excited, man. But one more thing before we get you out of here. Promo code is Elite11. You get 60% off right now on any team site at 24/7 Sports. So whoever you're a fan of, go to the team site, sign up, use promo code Elite11, get 60% off at 24/7 Sports. But for national analyst Blair Angulo, director of scouting Andrew Ivins, I am Tom Loy, Hudson, Kenny Williams, Greg Gelber, Clara Sales, Taylor Korn, Aaron Grisham, the man, Mike Roach, Hudson Standish, everybody here at 24/7 Sports. We appreciate you watching, and we will see you next time.